Hello and welcome to Croft in Darlington, Yorkshire for the season finale of the second season of EERC British Touring Car Championship. My name is Edward Hunter. Alongside me for this climactic, exciting final race, as we see Oliver Hargitay squirreling around, is Nick Homeward, broadcast director and co-commentator. So I should start calling you what you actually are, which is co-commentator, Nick, as we look at this fabulous Croft circuit. Very high speed, but also a lot of technical sections. Apparently, from what Chris English has been telling me, it should suit the rear-wheel drive cars, which is music to my ears, of course. Probably too late for us to win the championship, admittedly, given the mountain we've really got to climb. But certainly, it's going to be very interesting to see who is going to succeed Mia Rose and Hunter Birch Simulation as champions in the second season now.
It's everything's technically on the line. It's, mathematically everything's still possible. But hey, it's touring cars. Anything can happen, can't it?
Yeah, shall we very briefly remind people then of where we stand? So, Louis Hartley currently leads the Drivers' Championship for Frinavond Motorsport Green on 294 points. So he goes into the race one with 75 kilograms of ballast in the back and into qualifying as well. Second in the championship is Chris English on 250 points. So he's 44 points back with 66 kilograms of ballast, and those are the last two that are really in contention, because Carl Benton on 239 is, I think, about 19 points away from really what he needed to be.
He is, again, mathematically, he's 5 points within contention, but...
And he's got the least ballast of the three, which is a small
but
consolation.
He'd have to rely on Hartley DNFing every race and him winning every race.
Which is probably not going to happen, given the way the whole season has gone, really.
You'd think not, but hey, never say never.
Yeah, so we got 60 points up for grabs. After race one, it'll be just 40. So Louis Hartley needs to lose no more than 4 points to Chris English, and he will be a champion at the end of race one.
Yep.
So that is what's at stake then. So Chris English is in a must-win scenario, effectively. And even if he does win, I think Hartley only needs to finish third or so, if I've got the maths correct.
Yes. Yeah, that's correct. There's 3 points between first and second, so that wouldn't be enough.
Yeah, 5 points between first and third, and he needs to... No, he would just about still be in it if... Chris English, if he finished third, because it's like 4 points, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, 44. So, yeah, he'd be 1 point. 1 point away.
So, second is like the minimum that Louis Hartley needs to finish in race one. But even then, race two, his odds are going to look a bit better, depending on how it plays out. Then, of course, we have got the Teams Championship, without wanting to discredit any of the others in the rest of the top 10, who've also got their own ballast to deal with. Apart from the ones who aren't here, of course. We've also got Teams Championship, which, like I said, Hunter Birch Simulation champions last season at the moment, Gravel Trap Racing. So that's, of course, Chris English, Carl Benton, and Andy Simmons.
No Andy this weekend. Although it's not the weekend. Today.
No, today, okay, no Andy. Well, they did Alton Park. Andy wasn't there either, so I'm not going to say they didn't need him, because he's certainly part of the reason why they've got a 93-point gap, a big part of it. Andy having scored 143 points, which is way more than 93. So yeah, definitely Andy a big part of this championship bid, even though he's not hit present now. But Gravel Trap 632, Hunter Birch Simulation 539 then. And Hunter Birch, to remind you, is at the moment in this race, it is Loic Moynier, Oliver Hargitay, who of course made his debut last time out, and Luke Mitchell, who of course formerly of Kings Racing, has decided to fill in for Remco de Zee, who I think is focusing on GPVWC. And Luke apparently is going to be skipping qualifying because there's a Super League GPVWC test session that is not overrunning, but he realised just literally about a few minutes before qualifying was going to start that it clashed, so he's had to drop out. But we still got 13 drivers who should be taking part then.
There's a few more still on the way.
Okay. So we can probably fill until then. So as we continue to look at Oliver Hargitay, and he's just going through there the interesting part of the section. That's of course the Jim Clark S's, and a lot of people have been going kind of wide on the exit there, and there's a sort of racing line, of course, with the denoted by the white stripe, of course, and then there's a bit of like bumbly stuff on the outside. So I saw Loic Moynier did as a track guide for the rest of the Underbirch simulation drivers, and he basically said, "Oh, I just go out as wide as I can here and hope that I don't get penalised."
Well,
well, I think he was trying to keep one wheel on
the
the
track
white
cut
line.
penalties are actually turned off because everyone knows what happens at Croft. On lap 1, someone has to go the wrong side of the bollard and on the chicane, and the game would give a penalty for that. So track cut penalties are turned off, and the drivers are under strict instructions that the white line defines the track.
Okay, well, that's good to know then for future reference. I'm just going to look here. And Loic Moynier is now saying, might skip race 1 actually, nothing was repaired. I can set a lap for the F of it, but Yizar he's put, so I assume that means yeah, and he's leaned on the Z key somewhere.
What's broken?
I think he means so dinner wasn't prepared?
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to decode because he just sort of says it out of the blue, and I'm trying to write, okay, what comfort? Because there's like multiple people who are telling me that they can't do qualifying in my team now, just 5 minutes before qualifying is supposed to start. So that's not great when I'm supposed to be fighting for the championship. Yeah. Well, I've had to change the drivers because otherwise we wouldn't even be in this position, like constantly to sort of keep fielding 3 cars. And Gravel Trap have had such an advantage that they can get away with just fielding 2 and are going to walk away with it at this rate.
Anything can happen. There's 154 points on offer.
That's very true, but we're nearly like we're going to make up like 2/3 of that.
Yeah, in 3 races.
It's unlikely. Even though we did really, really well on Autopolis, we only gained about 12 points in total over the whole 3 races.
Yeah, Gravel Trap got a few more points as well because there were some penalties afterwards that shuffled the order even more.
Oh, they did, yeah. So basically, as long as you finish behind with no other people in between, then yeah, it should be. Gravel Trap can afford to not be particularly quick here.
Chris English has been having game problems as well. He's only just got on the server, so he might not be that quick.
Could be a bit of a damp squib ending to the championship. But one thing that probably won't happen is it probably won't rain because that setting has been Loic says he's had to make something real quick for dinner. It's just like, couldn't you do it in the 10 minutes in between quali and the race?
Yeah, no, rain hasn't been turned off, but the probability of it happening has been decreased substantially.
Or better yet, wait until race 3 is finished, maybe, Loic.
Poor Loic. We've got Chris Davis back as well, first time this season.
Oh, that's great. Chris Davis, of course, who fought for the championship in the end of the first season and just lost out to Mia Rose in the finale in Bahrain, as we all remember. Is that the same Chris Davis I'm thinking of?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, okay, from Lev Speed.
Yeah, now Scuderia Mireia.
Great to see Mireia, because they've got a really solid lineup now, haven't they, at the end of the season. One of them is Valente, he's one of my drivers, technically. At least I think of him as one of my drivers.
And we got the nice chicken nugget car as well.
Yeah, that's not at all confusing with the Finnavond that we see now. Louis Hartley, who looks like he could be just one race and let's see, about 40 minutes away, just over 40 minutes away from his and Finnavond's as well first championship in EERC, because it's a team that's on the rise. It's won a lot of races, yet to win a championship.
We did win the team's championship in Formula E.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So, no, but no driver title. Despite your best efforts, Nick.
No,
you did get close last season in GD3 though.
Yeah.
And in fact, you are the. I think if there was a sort of seeding system, you guys would be number 1 in GD3 since Team Imperium and Iris aren't going to be there. They haven't signed up for GD3 next season. Although we're entering a team too, so but even though we're first on the reserves list, so if everyone shows up, then you don't have to worry about us at all.
It's quite close. 0.7 between first and 7th.
Oh, in this practice session?
Yeah, in the qualifying.
Oh, qualifying started. Oh yeah, I completely forgot that. Because people are still joining and it feels a bit amateur. I didn't realise we were 5 minutes in then.
Yeah, no,
So
everyone's
Louis
here now.
Hartley then, 24.8. Benton just behind, about a tenth behind, and then it's Seifert who comes back for King's Dealer Racing. Of course, he'll be. I think he was saying Luke Mitchell is a traitor for driving Vanderbilt Simulator, but he's not even doing qualifying, so I guess he won't be complaining too much now. Thank you, Super League. I did all that Academy commentary for them. There was that crazy finish in race 2. I don't know if you've seen it, Nick.
I have, I believe.
Okay, where was it Alessandro Maggio and Yusuf bin Suhail came together, and Bobby Vakinov just saw them part like the Red Sea in front of him.
Target goes fastest.
Oh, so Oliver clearly not struggling as much as he told me he was. I think you said, I was using mediums offline and I was 2 seconds slower than I thought I would be, or something like that. And then he's come back on and he's like, suddenly I'm setting 124. Oh, it's okay then. But there we go. Benton now goes back up to second ahead of Roy Seifert. Hartley down to 4th now.
Should we ride on board with him for a lap?
Looking at Benton at the moment, and look at him mounting the curbs just through Hawthorne.
So that's the chicane on the first lap that is going to be a squeeze.
Bit of a pinch point, as we call it.
And that's where the drivers are allowed to cut it. And that's where I try
and as you can see, on the very top there's you can go to Switch TV / whatever.
Kyle Benton Gaming, I think that says.
Yeah, Kyle Benton Gaming, that's it. And you can go to his that address as we see him go through the Jim Clark S's. And he's actually very conservative on exit there in terms of how wide he runs, which is, I guess, a little bit easier in the front-wheel drive car because it's a little bit more instantly responsive at the fronts.
Yeah, and he has got quite a lot of ballast on this car as well.
That's very true for the championship. So no wonder Oliver Hargitay is a little... and I think Gravel Trap, even though they got massively in the championship, they were complaining about me changing the drivers constantly, which is not something I did through choice. Like Chris Hood, for instance, I kept on for as long as I could, and Chris was like, nah, this isn't working, I've had enough. But as we see, English go 4th fastest, just ahead of Louis Hartley, which is important for the Drivers' Championship.
Benton didn't improve despite going purple in the last sector.
Hargitay is really kind of on his own here without Moynier or Luke Mitchell to back him up, which does not bode well for the start of race 1.
Here we go, he's got purple again.
Very quick in the first sector then. So clearly the rear-wheel drive is setting itself up for great exits from the chicane, isn't it? And he's able to build up so much speed and sort of maintain it through the fast corner. Sovic, of course, we didn't mention it last time, but Sovic was officially crowned independent champion, even though he got disconnected, of course, before the start of race... No, it was after race 2, wasn't it?
It was before the start of race 2, unfortunately. He had that game issue.
He did, yeah, because he was looking really good on the softs in race 2, and that was a big shame. But the consolation prize is of all the independent drivers, and it's amazing, because I think I did ask Sovic at one point to drive for us, and he was like, nah, I'm busy. So I just sort of I have to get someone else in. But I think Sovic will be very happy with that independent track, and I think he's impressed a lot of time with several podiums this season. I don't think he ever took a win. He got very close at Mount Panorama and at Anglesey as Valente goes 7th fastest now.
It's very close indeed, isn't it?
Fastest final sector for Valente actually, but he's set to 125.0. And English goes fastest. Big lap there from Chris English, 124,
as
128.
Benton then beats him by a millisecond.
Oh, it couldn't be closer than that, unless they set an identical time, I guess. 124, 127 then for Carl Benton.
Stamped their intent there.
Yeah, that looks like Gravel Trap, but on their way to win the team's championship, and Chris English trying to stretch out the drivers for as long as he can. Can Louis Hartley respond? Down in 7th at the moment then, 8 minutes remaining. There we go. That answers that.
That's the
and
opposite
only
of a commentator's
0.079 behind Benton and... no, behind English, sorry.
Top 5 separated by 2/10.
But what can Oliver Hargitay do? Here he goes across the line. And it's going to be a bit slower, isn't it? 124.6. No, so fastest in the first sector, but a little bit of time to find in the middle and final sectors there. There's Peter Schoenemann. Look at him go. I think they'll be saying that a lot through the Jim Clark S's, aren't I?
It's going to be a very tricky track for overtaking. Oh, is he yeah.
Yeah, that's a shame that two of my drivers are not bothering to set a lap. Because one of them
has done a lap.
Oh, he has? Yeah. But then he went and buggered off to go eat a very long dinner, I'm assuming. So he says, oh, I might not even do race 1. Which shows the sort of commitment. I think, again, maybe it's to do with the fact that this race is sort of scheduled. It wasn't originally supposed to be on the calendar, but because of the update happening literally on the same day as the race was supposed to take place.
The race that barbecued the engines whenever you try to use them.
Exactly, yeah. So it's been a bit of a compromise this season as we see Schooneman get himself off the very back of the grid, but he's still about 4 seconds down on everyone else. So a bit more time to find for the Finavon driver, I think.
Yeah, he hasn't. He's only just got back from work.
It's a common story, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's the danger.
I bet you Peter's not going to bother eating any dinner. He's just going to get out and drive.
He hasn't had any dinner. He's had a coffee.
And Sovik sets a purple middle sector. And Hargatai has actually set 2 purple sectors, so he's about to finish his lap. This could be a big lap then for the 100 simulation driver.
Fastest, 3/10.
There we go. 123.7. So all that lack of ballast, finally Oliver Hargatai gets it together.
Oh, very sideways.
Whoa, and Scott Sovik completely unintentionally cuts the track there. But that wasn't an ideal entry there into the which corners are that? That's sunny in and sunny out.
I definitely wouldn't have gained any time doing that.
Yeah, but he got it wrong through Barcroft, didn't he?
Yep.
And had to sort of collect it up on the grass.
As Martin Brundle would say, ambitions above adhesion.
Valente goes 9th fastest, improves just ahead of Loic Moynier.
Got Studniarek in 8th as well. He's doing quite well.
And Chris Davis in 6th, actually, on his return. So that really shows Davis was really, really consistent in the first season. So he's a big asset for Scuderia Marrero.
Feels like a very long time ago now. Oh, Studniarek goes 2nd.
Oh, good lap by it. And then the rear-wheel drive starting to come to the fore. Igor Studniarek, who, of course, is outside the top 10 of the championship, hasn't got any ballast to deal with, goes 2nd fastest. Studniarek, he has finished on the podium at least once this season. I can't remember because he got pinned. He won on the road in Knutstorp very early on, back before the rear-wheel drive got nerfed. And I think he's finished on the podium once somewhere else as well, like one of the race frees, or was that Ziola I'm thinking of?
Ziola has got a podium. Let's have a look. He's got...
Race for East London, I think it was, for Ziola, but I can't remember if Studniarek has another podium somewhere. He's definitely had some good results and shown some good pace, though, is the point that I'm making. And so...
no, it doesn't look like he has, actually.
Okay, so he certainly wants to qualify really well here, and this could really create a bit of a uncomfortable situation for the championship leaders. There's Louis Hartley, though, goes 2nd fastest to split Hargatai and Studniarek, and Benton, as we just watch him go through, does the same, just behind Louis Hartley on the in the timing sheet. So here we go.
He's revving up for a lap. Here you see taking a wider line to get a better exit out of the hairpin.
Exactly. There we go. So Oliver Hargatai on pole at the moment by 0.134 over Louis Hartley. Carl Benton 0.077 behind. Then it is Igor Studniarek 0.040 behind. It's Chris English 0.087 behind. And then Sovik in 6th 0.181. And let's have a look at English's lap time. Here we go. 19.4 in the first sector, so a 10th faster than Hargatai, but not the purple time. I think Hartley might have been fastest in the first sector. Or was it Studniarek? I can't tell. One of the two.
A little bit wide there. It's going to be quite difficult for him with all this ballast on.
Yes, exactly. But he has got slightly less than Louis Hartley, so...
9 kilos less.
Really where he needs to set himself up well, because like you say, there aren't too many overtaking opportunities here as he mounts the curb there through sunny in, now through to sunny out. And still, we should expect sunshine for the race as well as we approach now into the complex, which is a big S-bend, a sort of long right-hander and a tighter right-hander as we see him just approaching it now. And now only the hairpin left to negotiate for Chris English. Just under 2 minutes left, so he's got maybe one more lap, 2 more laps at this, I think.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't make any mistakes.
Good exit there, no wheel spin. Along to the timing beam we go, and it is going to be a... Oh, it's slower in the final sector, so the time did ebb away, 124.098.
He did improve slightly, I believe.
Oh, and there we go, trying to get the Hawthorne chicane perfect there. These chicanes, it's so easy to get it wrong and hit the tyre barrier on the inside, isn't it? Especially at Hawthorne's, but also, as we see Louis Hartley negotiate the second chicane, and of course it's private sessions, so none of these drivers have got to worry about each running into each other on track, I don't think.
Nope.
Hartley desperately, he will start on the front row at this rate if he can stay there, but he would love to start on pole position in the race where he could very well clinch the championship in the drivers, which would be a huge achievement for him. As here we go through the Jim Clark S's into Barcroft, and now Sonny in.
Bit unstable on the brakes.
A little unstable on the brakes, but look at the turn-in he's got from that Hyundai. He looks very unlucky. Just cutting to the inside, so keeping one wheel off the track and the other three on it, I guess. So he looks very, very confident, doesn't he? As he has pretty much all season, ever since Mia Rose left, funnily enough.
Yeah, I think he likes the car.
Well, even before Mia Rose left, we saw at Mount Panorama that brilliant drive he did to win the first 2 races, wasn't it?
Yes.
He's only won once since then, bizarrely, so he's been very just consistent since then, and very good defensive drivers. He takes pole position. Brilliant final sector there for Louis Hartley, just under 2 tenths quicker than Oliver Hargitay. And Chris English now starts his final lap. He's gotten ahead of his teammate Carl Benton, and then back into the pit lane, so English will start no better than third. Can Oliver Hargitay eclipse the lap? It's a big, tall order, isn't it? Fastest in the first sector.
Nope.
No, he's just fallen short. That was a really bad final sector there, a few seconds off. So I think that's pole for Louis Hartley then.
Benton's still on a lap. He's not done a particularly good first sector, though.
Watch then. There's still a few others that could improve. I don't think Loic Moynier has come back, so he will start down in 11th. If indeed he bothers with the race.
Anyone else? Seifert's on a lap. Oh, he's purple.
Yeah, here we go then. So, Seifert, will this be good enough for pole position? He powers towards the line. Brilliant middle sector. Has he sewn it all together? It's now or never. Here we go. And he goes 5th fastest, so improves ahead of Igor Studniarek then.
Made a bit of a mistake in the hairpin there.
But it's such a fine margin. Look how close he was to Valente, who jumped up to 4th at the end there.
Those
so
gaps
it's fine,
are insane.
fine margins. But there we go. I think that is pretty much everyone accounted for. And Oliver Hargitay sounds really frustrated. He says it could have been pole. I'm so sorry or whatever. But I think second is great. Don't worry. At least you showed up. Pointed line there. Right, so here are the confirmation of the qualifying results here for that will determine the grid for race 1 here at Croft. Louis Hartley, championship leader, takes pole position and could well sew it up in race 1 then, with Oliver Hargitay right behind him then, and then his championship rival Chris English in 3rd. Alessandro Valente will start in 4th. I think that's his best qualifying of the season, ahead of Carl Benton. Then it is Roy Seifert in 6th, Igor Studniarek 7th, Scott Sovic 8th, Chris Davis on his return in 9th. Smaggers Gale rounds out the top 10, a good qualifying for him actually, a bit out of the spotlight, but still a decent lap. Loic Moynier, after only bothering to do 1 lap, he will start 11th if he indeed shows up, and isn't too busy just chomping down on what I'm assuming is a ridiculously large gourmet dinner. Pascal Eggert 12th, so a little bit of difficult times for Pascal. Louis Hesketh will start 13th ahead of Peter Schumann, who just got back from work with his 126.8. And rounding out the field will be Adam Ziola, who I think also only set the 1 lap for SZ Racing.
So Pascal does have a 5-place grid drop as well.
Ah, well, that would explain why he was a little bit demotivated to set a good quality lap then, because he sort of assumed he'd start at the back anyway, I think. Or near the back anyway, so Pascal would bring up the rear if Luke Mitchell wasn't coming back to start 16th and last. So I think 15th for Pascal it will be.
Right then. It's race time.
I better just let Luke know. I mean, it would be nice if he could do, even though we've got pretty much 0 chance of winning the team's championship. It would be nice to actually at least have all 3 drivers, try.
It's never a 0% chance until it's a 0% chance.
Well, certainly, Luke is joining.
Ooh, he's a bit late.
Okay.
It
Can
won't.
we delay?
Not once the grid has already started to form up.
What number, he says? Is it 82? Oh, no. It would be 82, wouldn't it? Because he's filling in for Remco.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Oh, just for the race identification purposes. Alright, well, here we go then. Let's hope he can just slot in at the back in time.
Loic
Loading in the server. He said he's Luke says he's loading in Luke and Loic. That's not going to be confusing. Luke says he's loading in the server, but the light's already on. It's too late for Luke Mitchell. And off we go then, and it's absolutely chaotic start as Hargitai gets a brilliant launch off the line and eclipses Louis Hartley into turn 1. And Valente too has got a brilliant launch. He's got past Chris English, or has he? English is going to hang around the outside here. So careful not to get taken out here. You've really got to be careful. But Hargitai leads, and that's so crucial because Luke Mitchell was way too late getting back from Super League.
And everyone's made it through the chicane.
Hopefully there's a red flag now so Luke Mitchell can take part. But I've got to say, brilliant start from Oliver Hargitai. And it's kind of Luke's fault, really, for not getting the timing right. But Louis Hartley's all over the back of him, Nick.
He is. Louis Hartley with the soft tyres in the first race.
Ah, okay. I didn't have time to check any of the soft tyres there. So I think Hargitai's saving them for race 3. So surely it's going to be a matter of time then before Louis Hartley bruises around the outside. Let's look at Valente really defending. He did well to get ahead of English there. And now English is being backed into Benton, which is not where he wanted to be at all. This is a title-losing situation then for Chris English at the moment.
Any situation in which he is outscored by Hartley is...
Well, Hartley just needs to finish in the top 2 regardless of what English does.
And as long as he beats English.
Oh, look at that side-by-side. That looked like Studniarek getting into battle with, I think that was Hesketh or Davis there. That was Davis, sorry. And that's Hesketh just ahead of the both of them. And that looks like Loic Moynier getting really swamped here by the midfield as he tries to make his way back up through the order. Still stuck down in 11th behind. That must be Studniarek.
It is Studniarek, yeah.
Into turn 1 they go. Looked a little bit like Moynier was shaping up for a move there, but here comes Hartley as actually they're all being backed a little bit into Valente here, who of course yet to win this season. Has finished 3rd in race 2 at East London, I believe, was his best result so far.
Yeah, I think he had 2 thirds there.
He did, yes. Unfortunately, the broadcast failed about halfway through the race because your internet died, Nick.
Yep.
So... But anyway, Hargitai still leads at the moment as somebody kicks up a bit of dust at the back. Yeah, that was just that Tower Bend, of course. And Davis still stuck behind Sovic, the independent, newly crowned Independence champion. As Hargitai now starting to just a little bit stretch away from Louis Hartley. And after narrowly being out-qualified, this is the big opportunity for Hargitai to take his first win here, which would definitely help in terms of the team's championship. Moynier is still stuck behind Studniarek, meanwhile, and a bunch of these Scuderia Marrera cars as well. And
Benton goes through.
That's Benton up the inside of English, and English now under attack from Roy Seifert on the exit of the hairpin there. And Seifert is going to be on the outside here as Hargitai sets the fastest lap of the race. He's got a 2-tenth gap now, almost 3 tenths over Louis Hartley. So Hartley, I think, is settling in for the long haul, and he might have to worry about Valente in a few moments' time.
Oh, he's got an overlap.
Oh, but up the inside through Hawthorns he goes. And is he going to get the overlap into the chicane? No, he doesn't. So a scary moment there from Hargitai. So clearly he didn't get a great exit there from the chicane. But now he's just recovered, and Valente will be licking his lips here, as indeed will Benton now ahead of English. But English on the back foot at the start of this race route. I think his best hope now is for Benton to just attack the cars in front.
I think Benton, that was strategic from them.
Benton on the softs and English on the hards?
Let me check the spreadsheet. I think that was strategic, because Benton's got less weight. He might just be faster.
Yeah, this is a bit of a battle of circuit.
Benton has it on race 1, the soft tyres.
Ah, there we go, and look at the lockup there from Hargitai into Sunny 1 there, and into Sunny out. Well, Sunny what? It's Sunny in into Sunny in, which is a weird thing to say, which is why I didn't say it.
And it is very sunny.
True, yeah, no sign of rain, as I said, because the percentage chance has been decreased, but we will keep a track on that as through the complex they go, and that's actually a really good exit from Louis Hartley, as a little bit off track there for Oliver Hargitai as he defends from the fin avant. And now Valente starting to defend from Carl Benton as well. So we got these cars with so much more ballast attacking the drivers that have done less of the season but are still very, very quick here as Benton sets the fastest lap of the race. And now it's a 4-way fight for the win here.
Oh, Hartley!
Oh, big crash! And that's Louis Hartley into the bollard there. And that could have done real damage to his car there. And indeed to his chances of sewing up the championship
what
in race 1
happened
there.
There?
And here we go. He's come out just in front of Studniarek and goes very, very wide indeed. So Studniarek will get up the inside potentially. Oh, but we'll have to back up for the chicane. And that could allow Loic Moynier to pounce.
It looked like he just locked the rears and hit the bollard.
I think he hit the bollard, yes, because Loic Moynier was warning before the start of the race. The bollard, it can really damage your car if you hit it, so you don't want to do that. And now that looks like Eggert now getting involved in this battle for... Oh, it's suddenly become a very, very intense battle for 9th place then. And Louis Hartley, thankfully, still in the race with not too much damage. The steering might not be looking too healthy, but Chris English...
wide.
Oh, and Valente now under attack from Carl Benton, who has suddenly been, with Louis Hartley out of the way, been released. I think Valente might have had a bit of contact too with Louis Hartley as he spun.
Yes, possibly. The car damage is turned down on these race sessions, but still, that was quite a hefty work for Hartley, so that will still damage his car.
Yes, and this really kind of takes the pressure off Chris English a little bit, as, oh, look at that Sovic attacking the back of Roy Seifert, and that allows Chris Davis to have a go up the inside, but... it looks like Sovic gets the better run on exit.
Of course, Eggert passes Studniarek.
Here we go. So Studniarek continues to fall back through the field, sadly, after a strong-ish looking... It was looking quite strong in qualifying, wasn't it? And then it all kind of fallen apart quite rapidly.
Hesketh is doing quite well up in 8th.
Yeah, good old Louis Hesketh, a former 100% simulation driver, if only for one race. Folkestone before he crashed and then packed in and went to Scuderia Marrera, but great to see him progress as a driver, now getting very, very stuck in here with Hartley behind him.
We seem to be missing Chris Hood as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to Chris Hood. I know he left my team. He's another defector. As that looks like Seifert under attack now from Sovic. So the two S's do battle then through, and that's very wide from Louis Hesketh. So no wonder it's a good thing that Hesketh's been able to stay out of trouble. Up the inside goes Sovic through Sunny in into Sunny out, and that's a beautiful move from Scott Sovic there.
Very nice.
And Seifert caught napping a little bit.
Not the first time. Oh, as Benton's on Valente.
Oh, here we go. Battle for second. And Benton is on the outside then, but Valente defends. And this is really allowing Hargitay to start to grow the lead to about a second up front. And look at Benton trying every way, this way and that. As Chris English has got a train of cars, including Sovic, Seifert, and Davis, all attacking him now. So English, he's got to hold on because potentially there's a third place in it if Benton drops back later on.
Having said Hesketh was doing
starting
well,
to attack Moynier.
He's just dropped 20 seconds.
Who's just dropped 20 seconds?
Hesketh.
Oh dear, so Hesketh in trouble then. And
Seifert.
That's somebody stationary. Seifert has made a blunder. I think he's hit the bollard, and that's Loic Moynier around at the Hawthorne chicane, and he just about collects it up without hitting the wall, I don't think. There we go. So not too much harm done, but a few places lost there. Oh, big hit in the inside wall, and that looks like Davis spinning. Oh no, it's Smackerscale, sorry.
What just happened?
So Smackerscale just hit the inside wall, ping-ponged off, and chaos behind then for the likes of Schumann and Moynier to negotiate there. But Smackerscale, I think, is retiring now, dropped down to the back of the field. Oh, no, he's still in the race.
Carried on. Yeah, I wonder if someone spread bollards across the track.
Might have been Mr. Hartley earlier.
Oh, as Benton's done it.
Chaos has allowed him to get back up to 7th as Valente now attacks Benton. Benton is through. Sorry. So Benton up into the top 2 and now could potentially challenge as English is now caught up to the back of Alessandro Valente as well. So we've got Marrera driver trying to hold off the gravel traps and help out Underbet Simulation a little bit here. So again, it still feels like Valente is one of my drivers in spirit, if not in actuality. You can always come back if you want next season, Alessandro.
We're only halfway through the race as well.
Here we go, 8 minutes left to go then, and Gravel Trapper, I don't think are in a position to sew up the team's title just yet, as Valente goes very wide. Is that just to avoid the bollard?
I think they're avoiding the bollards, yeah.
So everyone is going to get corner cutting penalties at the end of this, if that carries on.
That's why they're turned off. Let's have a look here.
There we go. Now, Loic Moynier caught back up to the back of Seifert after Seifert had his own issue. I have no idea what happened. Oh, very nearly makes contact with the back. I think there was a little tap there, Nick.
I didn't quite see.
I don't know quite what happened to Seifert. We just saw him stationary at Sunny Inn, wasn't he? So I think he might have been attacked by Hesketh potentially. Well, there was something that happened because he was in that battle behind. Sovic had just gotten by him, hadn't he?
I think Hesketh had already dropped back at that time. So
something else happened to him. Maybe there was somebody at the door and he had to go answer it.
Or the bollards. The bollards of death.
There could have been a wheel issue.
Yeah, that too.
Potentially, and he might have had to stop to plug the wheel back in, and everyone did well to avoid him, frankly.
I'm sure we'll
But
get
there we go,
answers.
Hargitay still leading by 1.2 seconds over Carl Benton. Valente is holding on to third from Chris English. Then there's a little bit of a gap to Davis, who is doing very well in the top 5 on his return in the 113 Scuderia Marrera entry in the Hyundai. Hartley's gotten back up to 6th ahead of Sovic, so Hartley recovering from that huge mistake to limit the damage here. And at the present moment, the points difference between 4th and 6th, how much is that?
I think Hartley would win it.
I believe so, yeah. Let me just have a look, because of course Benton might end up having to let him through. Well, not having, here's the option, is what I'm saying. So 4th gets 13 points, 6th gets 10 points. That's a 3-point gap with, he's 44 points ahead. That would be 41, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so that gap would not be...
So Louis Hartley, crucially, has worked himself back into a championship-winning position then, ahead of Sovic. So Sovic could deny him if he gets back through. But Hartley, of course, has got the soft tyres. He clearly knew he wanted to get the job done in race 1, didn't he? So
I wonder what happened to Sovic. I wonder if he and Seifert tangled.
Quite possibly, yeah. But Sovic has more recently
Benton's
dropped behind.
closing. Benton's
And look at the wide line Valente's taking, as Benton is starting to get really confident now that he's cleared Valente. He's got 6 minutes here to get far through Oliver Hargitay, who has been doing a brilliant job so far, but his pace has not really been quite on song with Carl Benton, I think, even
Benton
with
with
the
the
ballast.
soft tyres as well, don't forget.
That's very true. So let's have a look at the previous lap then. It was pretty similar. 124.409 for Benton, Hargitay 124.424. So only a slightly slower then. But 0.3 is the gap between the pair, as Valente is now starting to be dropped by both of them, really. As Sovic sets fastest lap of the race.
He's right behind Hartley.
In a bid to catch back up to Louis Hartley then. So he's not giving up. I'm not sure what tyres Sovic is on. I think he's on the mediums.
Let me get up the spreadsheet. Scott Sovic. He's got the options.
No, he is on the soft. Okay, so him and Louis Hartley very evenly matched. And look at through the chicane, he nearly hit the inside there. So Sovic is going full risk to sort of deny Louis Hartley the championship. This is really where the big battle is, but it depends if Benton lets English through, doesn't it?
Well, I think if Benton wins the race, he won't be far off overtaking Chris English on points.
Okay, so Benton, he suddenly, after being so loyal for most of the season, he suddenly decided, right, it's every man for himself then.
I think he's
There's also the constructors to worry about as well, which is their main focus, admittedly, for Gravel
Davis
Trap.
has caught English, so Chris versus Chris.
Look how close he is to the back then. It's Oliver Hargitay versus Carl Benton for the win then. But like you say, the double Chris dilemma, English versus Davis. We've had a lot of Chris's this season.
If we had Chris Hood as well, we'd have the trifecta.
Yeah, I swear there was another Chris earlier this season, wasn't there? Somewhere.
Yes. I can't remember their surname though.
Either. It's probably on the sheet somewhere. But here we go then. Carl Benton, 4 minutes to go.
Sovic is through.
Sovic through up the inside of the hairpin there. Sorry we missed that, ladies and gents. But Sovic denies Louis Hartley. Puts him back out of a championship winning position then. So that is not ideal for Louis Hartley. It's Chris English. It goes around the outside at turn 1 of Alessandro Valente. And that move could very
no,
easily
that was Davis trying to pass him.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Got the two Scuderia Marrera chicken nugget cars mixed up there. But it was the other nugget. It was Chris versus Chris. So not quite, but Chris Hood putting in a stellar drive, it must be said in this. Is he on the softs as well?
Chris Davis.
Davis, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I did think he was. This is what happens when you don't check the sheet before the race. But to be fair, you only got confirmed about an hour before. Is look how much Oliver Hargitay's pushing to make sure that he's got that little bit of buffer. And he's been doing that the whole race as well. It's a good thing there's no tyre wear to try and make sure that Carl Benton can't just dive up the inside. But it's really this final sector. Remember where Hargitay messed up in qualifying on his lap that was up to that point good enough for pole position.
This is the
and that
closest
could
he's
be
been.
where Carl Benton takes advantage here. So is Carl Benton going to try and swoop around the inside? Where will Oliver Hargitay position himself? He's going to go for the outside. He opens the door, and surely Carl Benton's coming through here. Who's going to get the best exit? Carl Benton leads as they go onto the start-finish line. He'll be on the outside here. So surely Oliver Hargitay is going to break later than late. Who is going to take the lead then here at Croft with just under 3 minutes left to go? Oliver Hargitay holds it into turn 1, but he'll be wide for the chicane at Hawthorns, and now Valente is joining the party. Oh my goodness. So heart and mouth moment there for Oliver Hargitay. but he holds on to it now. And I hope people on stream aren't seeing the weird blue outline that suddenly popped up on screen, Nick. Or is that... Okay, it's gone. Right, okay. I don't know what that was. I think that might have been a screen sharing thing on my end. It's look at Hargitai through Tower Bend, letting the rear step out there. So he's really trying to get on the power as early as he can. And almost Valente has to get out of the throttle in response to the two ahead. Just looking like they're going to tangle. Oh my goodness me. And Benton has a little think up the inside into Sunny In. And they both lock up this time.
What a race.
This is pretty insane here. Hargitai desperately wants that first win, and he needs to really to keep Thunderbird Simulation's chances even remotely alive, as Moynier struggling down in 11th, which is really what happens when you set one lap and then get mired in the midfield. But you got to feel as well for poor Luke Mitchell, who just missed it at the deadline because that test was clearly so important to him. But anyway, I won't keep going on about that as we go into the final minute and a half.
Last lap.
And Hargitai has just got to hold on, really, as we see Studniarek and Eggert battling over 9th, I think. And Eggert drops behind Moynier, crucially. So that's more points for Hunter Simulation. Hunter Simulation, I should say. Sovik sets fastest lap then to try and catch up to Davis ahead of him.
Ooh,
and Hargitai goes wide.
It's Davis. Davis has crashed.
Oh dear, so that's Davis in all sorts of difficulties, and that lets Hartley through back into the top 6, crucially, so back into a title winning position. But that's not on the mind here of Oliver Hargitai. He's got to hold the inside into Tower Bend, and that's going to give him a compromised exit here, as he's got the 2 vultures of Benton and the slightly less nasty vulture of Alessandro Valente all over the back of him. And into the high-speed Clark curve they go. And once again, Carl Benton cannot get the inside line that he needs. Will he get desperate here? Hargitai cuts the inside. This time doesn't lock up into the sunny bend. So here we go. It's going to be into the complex that he's going to have to set it up. But we've only got 20 seconds left to go. Oliver Hargitai can't slow down to make sure there's not another lap because he'll get overtaken here. Here we go then. Just 10 seconds left to go. And Benton, it's his last chance to get through. Is he going to launch one up the inside? Where will Oliver Hargitai? He goes for the middle. He dives up the inside. And is he going to get the inside lap?
Oh, he's done it!
He's done it! Carl Benton wins race 1. Snatches it at the very final corner of the race. And Oliver Hargitai, heartbreak for Hargitai. Once more, as Valente just falls short in 3rd. English takes 4th. Sofik takes 5th. But our new champion is this man, Louis Hartley. He wins the 2022-2023 second season of EERC British Touring Cars.
What a race.
There we go. So drum already. I believe the team's championship is still up for grabs then. But I think the lead has been slightly extended by Gravel Trap with... there we go. Moynier drops back to 11th then in the end, so Eggert did get back through. There's Peter Schumann, who I think is one of the last couple of finishes, just crossing the line now.
I mean, I can't do the maths right now, but I think Gravel Trap will be very close to to sealing it. Saw that one coming.
Having some fun, because they've just won a Drivers' Championship, so why wouldn't they celebrate?
Right, let's get the results up. Where are we? Race 1, session results.
All right, so hopefully we'll get Luke Mitchell in for race 2 there. I was just having a chat with him because he was really apologetic because he's so close to getting it in. It's just Super League. And if it had ended, if the test had ended maybe 5 seconds before, then he might have made it in.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine for race 2.
But we're going to lose the team's championship anyway, so it really doesn't matter. But it is the only one left to decide, really, as you say. So Carl Benton takes the full 15 points for Gravel Trap. Oliver Hargitai takes, will it be 13 points for second for Thunderbird Simulation after leading so much of that race. That last move by Carl Benton really showed Benton's quality. I think I've said it all season. Carl Benton has been, I called him a bit of a vulture because a little bit of bias creeping into the commentary there, but that's what he was that whole race. And he really showed exactly why he's one of the top drivers we have here in EERC British Touring Cars. Valente puts in a very, very strong performance to take a 3rd podium of the season for Scuderia Marrero. Chris English takes 4th for Gravel Trap to increase their tight grip on the team's championship, which looks like they've got a great chance of sewing it up in race 2, I think. I think they only really need a couple of points at this phase. Scott Sovik takes 5th for Ballers Esport, the independent entry. So Sovik had a good recovery there to get ahead of Louis Hartley, but it wasn't enough to deny Louis Hartley the Drivers' Championship in the end with that retirement of, the issue for Chris Davies. He actually did get back up to 7th by the end ahead of Roy Seifert, who who had his own issues. Igor Siniaruk recovers back up into the top 9 after a difficult start to the race. Pascal Eggert finishes 10th after starting near the back of the grid as well, down in 15th. So a big recovery drive for Pascal Eggert to sort of stay out of trouble, essentially. And Loic Moynier finishes 11th after that pretty frightening moment that we saw on stream where he just spun across the track somehow, I think, trying to avoid the bollard. Or did he hit the bollard? I can't remember what happened.
I think bollards were definitely involved. Yeah, Royce.
Well,
Royce
they're going to reset for race 2, so expect more carnage.
Royce
I guess.
has just told me in the Discord that he hit the bollards, and that's why he's...
There we go. Was there another bollard? Oh, there would have been another bollard just before Sunny In, wasn't there? So
I think
that must have been what he hit.
Louis Hartley was doing a bit of Mario Kart tactics, sprinkling their bananas on the track.
Yeah, banana skins everywhere. A bit of oil slicks as well, because it looked like some of the drivers couldn't see what they were doing half the time. Louis Hesketh takes, I think, a career best result in 12th.
Yeah.
Beating Peter Schoenemann. Adam Ziola and James Magasgale, I think, also finished near the back in 14th and 15th, respectively. So... we need to figure out what the team's championship looks like now, don't we? Because that's the only one left to do. But we know the drivers. That's Louis Hartley, and a well-deserved drivers' championship for Louis Hartley, I think. After Mia Rose dropped out of the season, Louis, and he even beat Mia, to be fair, at Mount Panorama, fair and square. So
first and fourth, we're just waiting for Loic to rejoin the server before I can set the grid. So we got a minute to do this. Where is it, rules? So, first and fourth, Gravel Trap have just scored 33 points.
And we got second and 11th.
So, you've scored 17, 5, 22. So, it's an 11-point swing to Gravel Trap.
It's not a lot of points when you add it up like that,
but
it?
with what was the gap?
It was 93.
93, and the most points you can score 20, 17, 37, 56,
isn't it?
52 points.
52, sorry.
Is the max you can score per race. So that means
104,
gap...
so is the gap that'd be 104, isn't it?
So is it exactly?
Right, so mathematically, you're saying there's a chance then.
You can tie. I think you've had more wins than Gravel Trap.
That's true. I think because of Mia mainly,
so
but also Loic getting 3 in a row.
Yeah, so if Gravel Trap absolutely implode and you get 1, 2, 3 in every single race, you can tie.
Does seem unlikely though.
A little unlikely, yeah.
But it was unlikely going in, to be fair, so it's not a change of unlikeliness. Just would have been a little bit more likely if Luke had come in just a few seconds earlier, but it's one of those things. He says if the Super League test started at the right time, I would have been in, he said. So I think it got delayed. It's literally one of those things. So thank you, GPVWC. I commentate for you, and this is how you repay me, by running late and screwing over my driver. I could have just gone for Remco, to be fair, but he said he had to focus on GPVWC, so he wouldn't have been delayed getting in, but he wouldn't have had any time to practice, I think is what he's saying. So that's why we went for Luke in the end. And somewhat concerningly, Luke also asking what the race fuel is for race 2. So there we go. I hope Valento didn't just tell him the wrong number there. just to screw him over. But he's a good lad. He wouldn't do that.
I'm just going to set the grid, so I'll be back in a second.
Right, so let's remind ourselves. I should probably have rather than making Nick do all the work like I have been so far, I should probably have a check of the tyre allocations for race 2. In confirmed teams, I'm assuming.
It's in announcements.
This takes me ages because Discord is trying to stream everything. So, right, remember softs and mediums, of course. Options and hards. So let's have a brief look as we wait for the grid. The grid for race 2 to be set, and it looks like it's going to be fun, if nothing else, with the one championship settled and another all but settled, I think. So let's have a look. Race 2, Loic Moynier has, of course, got the slots for race 2, as has Roy Seifert, Chris English, both Chris Englishes, so I think one of them's supposed to be Chris Hood, or... There's 2 Chris Englishes, and both of them have got options for race 2. on this cheat. So unless I'm having some kind of bizarre issue on my end, then Chris English has cloned himself and put himself into 2 gravel trap cars. James Smaggersgale is also using the options for race 2. Oliver Hargitay is using them for race 2, of course, and he'll start second. And nearly beat Carl Benton on the medium, so it was a pretty heroic performance from Oliver. And Peter Schumann has also got them for race 2. So everyone else is either saving them for free or has already used them in 1. Could have a 16-car grid then for race 2. Carl Benton starting on pole from Oliver Hargitay, Alessandro Valente, Chris English, Scott Sovic, and our new champion, Louis Hartley. Incidentally, let's see what people are saying in the chat then. So I imagine most of our audience is probably watching the Super League round 1 from San Marino.
Okay.
I like how in the description, Nick, you wrote, "At long last, we've reached the end of the season." Like, you just couldn't wait for it to be over. I feel like you do that every season we do. It implies you're not Louis Hartley says, "Cringe-ass Bollard taking me out."
I didn't stop him winning
And
the
it's been held for
championship.
review as well, so the champion has been censored in the chat.
Well,
Luke Mitchell says, "King's dealer car still looking glorious" as well.
it's a lovely livery.
It is, yeah. And I imagine Luke Mitchell had something to do with its design. But, yeah. Can't wait to see Luke Mitchell in action, actually, in race 2. From the very back, of course. But it's a good thing we saved the sauce for later on, because we'd gone sauce for race 1 and Luke Mitchell hadn't shown up, we'd look very silly, wouldn't we?
Right. It is race time.
A lot of just nonsense in the chat there as we wait for the grid to form up then. So race 2 incoming then. So gravel trap just need to score a point. 1 point, I think, will clinch it. Well, as long as they finish the race, then they should win the championship, really. Because even if they're behind, as long as they're scoring points, they'll be probably getting the gap they need.
Yeah, I should think so.
So it takes the pressure off, but they've still got to finish, I think. And of course, this is before penalty, so we'll probably get a penalty for race 1 for Loic or something that will take us. I hope Mitchell put the right tyres on as well. He definitely has it for race 2.
But as
so
long as he only uses them in 1 race, it doesn't hugely matter. He won't get a penalty for taking the tyres in the wrong race. It's just if you take them too many times.
Right, so anyway, here we go. Round 2 then, and it's Hargitay who, on the softs, who starts in a really strong position as Carl Benton teleports back to the pit lane. Oh, and now reappears. So here we go, race 2, about to get underway imminently at Croft here in Yorkshire. The team's championship up for grabs then. In 5 seconds, we'll be racing. The lights about to come on, and we're going now. And it is Benton that makes a decent getaway, but once again, Oliver Hargitay on the soft tyres this time, has the inside line from the front row, and snatches the lead off of Carl Benton into turn 1. They all come rushing through, and that's Chris English who takes off track there, as does Hargitay. And in fact, English takes the lead. That was Benton going off track. Valente now challenging in third, but it is English leading from Hargitay. Oh, and Hargitay goes wide, and somebody flips over. That's Roy Seifert having a Brecking Bronco ride there. Oh my goodness me, and that is not how you do the chicane. But anyway, the order then: English, Valente, Benton, Hartley, Moynier up to 5th, and now up to 4th. Now he
English takes the lead.
Hartley. Yeah, I did say English took the lead earlier. So
it was too preoccupied with Seifert upside down.
I think that Oliver Hargitay may have hit the chicane there and given himself a lot of work to do. He's down in 7th now behind Scott Sovic, but he has got those soft tyres at his disposal then. So it really is a matter of the rear-wheel drive cars having lots of ground to make up. Mitchell got up to 10th from the very rear of the field as well, so a clean start for Luke Mitchell. Here he is, and he looks at Schunemann and Studniarek going side by side into the complex ahead of him, and Studniarek looks like he's going to try and hold on around the outside, and indeed he's able to do so. Valente now 1.5 seconds behind English, who has really kicked off. English just seems to love race 2, doesn't he? He always goes a bit better in race 2 than race 1. As up the inside goes Peter Schunemann on Igor Studniarek, and now Mitchell is under attack from the 660 of James Smaggersgale.
Seifert has DNF'd.
Oh, well, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
That beautiful... We did get a lovely look at that beautiful King's Dealer livery, though, as it flipped over at the chicane.
So, so what happened there, we think, is that Hargatai hit the chicane, and I'm guessing...
I'm surprised you didn't throw the red flag there, Nick. That was remarkable.
Whoa!
Oh, you might now, though, as over goes Pascal Eggert. So they're all taking their turns to observe the scenery and become part of the Yorkshire Dales.
It was only actually a couple of cars affected, so the red flag wasn't...
Ooh, I'm sure Pascal will feel, and Roy will feel like they're not important now after you said that, Nick. But anyway, Pascal continues on, so the car not too bad. At least it bounced off its roof the right way up.
Yeah.
As we see Louis Hartley now trying to attack Loic Moynier for 5th. And Loic, he fancies a run on those soft tyres at Carl Benton, who is on the mediums. He tries to go round the outside into the complex now. He's going to try and hold it out into the S-bend. Carl Benton cuts him off then, so it will have to be at the hairpin now as we see Luke Mitchell catching up to this battle. Loic Moynier's going to be stranded round the outside. Carl Benton forces him to go the long way round and holds on to that position. So good defensive driving there from Carl Benton, of course, who holds on to that 3rd position.
Yeah, Chris English is running away a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, Valente has not got any response then. He's not got the softs at his disposal, I don't think. He's saving them for race 3, I believe, as Louis Hartley now catches up to the back of Loic Moynier and dives up the inside opportunistically because Loic is delayed by the gravel trap in front of him. They go side by side through the chicane and Loic Moynier holds on. That was bravery and a half. Loic Moynier wants that very, very tiny chance at the team's championship, doesn't he? As Sovic now takes advantage to leapfrog Louis Hartley because he's delayed out of all that. So this is a great battle for 3rd, isn't it?
We've got a yellow flag.
Yeah, Hargatai has, I think, just gotten in front of Mitchell and Schuneman.
Studniarek
hits again, and Studniarek hits the chicane, and that's Pascal trying to avoid him, and he goes into another... he's trying to go to another part of Yorkshire there, I think, into Scarborough. Oh, as Loic Moynier almost taps the back of Carl Benton into Sunny in, and now through Sunny out they go. Approaching the complex once more, and Moynier once again dives to the outside. Carl Benton defends the inside. This time Moynier almost gets the overlap, but because he has to go the long way around, he sort of runs out of road there, isn't he? As we see the clouds drifting overhead then. English continuing to extend that lead. This time Moynier firmly dives for the outside and almost gets overtaken by Sovic, who sort of dives. That's the problem with diving up the inside, is you can't get the run to the outside that you need. You sort of end up having to take a tighter line to avoid hitting the car in front.
Yes, indeed. But Benton's doing a very good job defending. It's been his specialty this season, isn't it?
He's learned from Oliver Hargatai, hasn't he? Being stuck behind him for most of the race 1. And Loic Moynier really... Benton is doing the job for his teammate here, isn't he? Because if Loic could only clear him, he could surely catch up to Valente and English, who are both on the...
6 seconds.
Oh, here we go! He's got the run out of the chicane, and he blocks the inside into Tower Bend. Does Carl Benton, but this time they approach side by side, and they're going to be side by side into the Clark S's here.
Benton will get that one, yeah.
Oh, there we go. So mercifully saved there. Now Sovic fancies join the party, as does Louis Hartley. Oh my goodness me, Louis Hartley, the new champion, taking crazy risks there when he really doesn't need to.
I think he's just here to have fun now.
Aren't they all?
Yeah.
And it looks like Hargatai wants to join the battle too, but here comes Loic Moynier at the outside, much closer this time, and he's going to cut to the inside, and he gets cut off once more, but that compromises the exit for Carl Benton. Can Loic Moynier sweep around the outside, and Sovic getting involved too? They go 3 wide into the hairpin, and that's surely cut track there for Carl Benton.
Yeah, it looks like he's giving the position back.
Yeah, he will have to let Loic through. Will he let Sovic through as well? And that's Moynier up to 3rd. Sovic will try and sweep around the outside. Surely he's going to try this one, isn't he? Sovic will go through, and they go side by side.
Oh, he's done it.
Goodness me. That was bravery and a half from Sovic, and now he fancies a go at Loic Moynier once again. So Moynier, he's got clear track in front of him. He's got to punch it now, hasn't he? And try and build a gap.
He has a bit, yeah. I don't know what happened at this hairpin.
But look at that 8-second gap now to Chris English. So that shows you the job that Carl Benton did for his teammate there.
I think there was a bit of unstoppable force meets a movable object there between
and he gets a little twitch on as well. So that really shows how much the tyres have overheated being stoked behind Carl Benton. Hargatai is going to try and attack Louis Hartley soon as well, which could be very interesting indeed. Because those two had a bit of a battle at the start of race 1, didn't they? As Mitchell now is all over the back of Peter Schoenemann. Schoenemann defends well, and Mitchell, I think, is still trying to learn this circuit after doing all that Super League testing.
And the car as well.
That's true. It is his first time driving it. He's used to the front-wheel drive of the King's car. As we go into the final 10 minutes of the race, so we're almost halfway through then. English leads Valente by 5 and a bit seconds. Then it is Moynier about 3 or 4 seconds down on Valente, and then it is Sovic heading Benton, Hartley, Hargitay, Smaggersgale, Schoenemann, and Mitchell, your top 10. Let's have a look at the lap times then. What has Loic Moynier been able to do? Now he's been released a 1:24.5, I believe.
Doesn't appear to be catching.
Oh, yeah, he might be able to catch Valente. He was a lot faster than Valente, actually, by half a second, but English...
Oh, as... who was that? Someone hit the... as Mitchell spins.
It's Luke Mitchell in trouble then. So he's clearly hit the chicane, and that could be big damage there as he drops... Oh, it's Smaggersgale! It's gone over, sorry.
Smaggersgale hit the chicane.
So Smaggersgale's right behind Luke Mitchell as well. So I think Mitchell got it wrong, and then that made Smaggersgale hit the wall and flip over. Is my read on that, as Louis Hartley continues to attack Carl Benton. He certainly wants revenge, doesn't he? These two have come to blows in the past, and Hargitay is there waiting in the wings to take advantage. But here we go, the new champion against the man currently second in the standings, I believe, Carl Benton.
Touch and go.
Yeah,
Quite close.
English looks like he might depose him now, being so far ahead in the lead. But here we go. Louis Hartley is going to try and size up into the hairpin, and he will have to go to the outside here, which could allow Oliver Hargitay to squeeze through, but again, he doesn't quite get the exit that he needs. There's too much of that black and orange car with the big saltire, the Scottish flag of the champion, in the way. And Carl Benton, mercifully, is given a bit of breathing space. So Sovic, meanwhile, still about just under a second behind Moynier as he continues to close on Valente. So a big battle for second now starting to shape up just ahead of this one. As we see, I think Staniaric having trouble falling behind Eggert.
So Seifert won't be racing in the next race, unfortunately. He's got work in the morning.
Well, I mean, fair enough really for Roy. As here we go, Eggert and Staniaric side by side in the battle not to finish last in race 2, because that's going to be pole position, isn't it, potentially? Oh, somebody's gone off in front of them.
That was Hesketh.
Oh, Louis Hesketh has hit the bollard and becomes stranded at turn 1.
He's done
in a bid to put himself as far back down the field to take advantage in reverse grid. As here we go, Hartley trapped around the outside at Sunny in, and that could allow Oliver Hargitay to dive up the inside through side by side through Sunny out. They go, and Hartley is pushed off track, and that allows Hargitay through.
Yeah.
That was a little bit touch and go, but you have to say there was a gap there for Oliver Hargitay to dive up the inside, and he had to go for it, didn't he?
Yeah, I wasn't. I was looking at the timing screen. But
yeah,
Loic has caught Valente.
Here we go then. So Valente is going to go all the way to the inside, force Loic Moynier to go the long way around. These two are good friends. They know each other very well. And there we go. Loic decides to back out of that one. He wasn't quite going to be able to go all the way around the outside, even on the soft tyres. So he's going to set himself up for the straight then, getting the exit he needs. But Sovic is right behind, waiting to take advantage if these two come together and they get so close near the chicane. Loic looks so much faster, Nick.
Yeah, well, Valente got a lot more ballast, of course.
Oh, from race 1, indeed. And here we go, Moynier. He pulls ahead, brakes and locks up around the outside, and now have to turn in the long way around through Tower Bend, and again gets a twitch on through exit. It seems to be the corner that Loic struggles the most with. Such a long corner. You have to be so patient on throttle there. But into the Clark S's they go. And he's right back in the wheel tracks.
English is 11 seconds up the road.
Here we go, mistake from Alessandro Valente allows Loic Moynier through into Sunny in.
Sovic.
Sovic is going to take advantage too. They're going to be side by side then into the complex.
Done it.
And Sovic through into third place.
Very opportunistic.
But Loic Moynier, he's only got about just under 6 minutes left to catch Chris English, but he's going to be defending from Sovic at this rate, isn't he?
Sovic's having a great weekend. Race.
Yeah, he's had a really good season as the Independence champion as well. He's really putting himself in the shop window for any team that wants to hire him next season.
Wink, wink.
Yeah. Wink, wink from a team owner that might be in this chat, in this commentary box. But anyway, Moynier holds him off for now, and Valente could sneak his way back onto the podium, but on the mediums, it's going to be a hard proposition as Chris English on the mediums has got such a big gap to manage. So really, it's a case of Moynier whether he can sprint ahead here.
Yes, and Sovic's going to keep him honest, but it looks like he might have the legs.
Yeah, meanwhile, Valente has now got Benton, Hargitay, and Hartley for company. As well, if he can't keep up with the back of Sovic. So these are sort of 6 cars all in pretty close proximity to one another.
Kyle doesn't do boring races, does he?
Well, he's either really defensive or brilliantly strategic and attacks right at the end, isn't he?
Great fun to watch.
Yeah, as he's been one of the breakout stars of the season and potentially could snatch second from Chris English if Chris English is a bad final race. But at the moment, English doing, I think, enough to hold on to second in the Drivers' Championship for what it's worth, even though Hartley's already sewn the whole thing up. And English, I think, could steal the Teams Championship in style. But Carl Benton gets a tap in the rear from Oliver Hargitay. And now Hargitay dives up the inside, wants revenge at the hairpin. There we go. And that's anything you can do, I can do better, says Oliver Hargitay. But here we go. Has he got the exit that he needs? Can he sweep across and cut him off before they get into turn 1? Carl Benton is still there. Still fancies a late dive. Surely he will go for it here. No, he can't. That wasn't realistic there, I think.
Yeah, that was... Loix had an issue.
Oh, dear. Come on, Loic. It's like you don't even want to win this race.
I wonder if that was Bollard-induced.
Yeah, there we go. So Moynier hits the Bollard again as Stydniarek falls back behind Pascal Eggert in the battle for 12th. And here we go. Moynier has now got to negotiate Valente again as Sovic could potentially sprint away now as Carl Benton defends up the inside from Louis Hartley, who goes very wide there at Tower Bend.
Yes, he did. Overcooked on the brakes.
There we go. So it's been a little bit harder going for Louis Hartley in this race, hasn't he? He's sort of just been bullied out of the way.
Down to earth with a bump.
Indeed, but no one's going to do you any favours just because you're the champion. And Benton just about cuts back before Louis Hartley can take advantage with 3 minutes remaining in the race. And English now leading Sovic by 12 seconds as Davis gets ahead of Schoenemann for 8th.
As Loic gets back past Valente.
We go. But Valente makes a late dive. Where did that come from? My goodness me.
I think that wasn't even in Yorkshire.
Yeah. Moynier is going to be backed into Hargitay at this rate.
Yeah, that wasn't a move, really.
Yeah, you got to say, it's kind of I kind of hope that Moynier will be able to catch up to English, but he's kind of opened
he's
the door.
got out shape again.
And the rear just lets go completely. He gets a big tank slapper and decides to let Oliver Hargitay have a go instead. So, big mistake there from Loic Moynier.
Yeah, that wasn't Bollard-induced.
No, that was sort of just the rear got loose on him. He tried to overcorrect and this went in the other direction, didn't he? Got a tank slapper and a half. So anyway, English still leads by just under 13 seconds from Sovic. Then Valente is 2 seconds further back, so Valente could still hold on to this podium, but now he's got Oliver Hargitay slowly catching up to the back of him. These two still locked in mortal combat with one another, Carl Benton and Louis Hartley. And Hartley, will he fancy a go up the inside into Sunny In? And Benton defends beautifully there. He's not going to have many more opportunities then. Just a minute and a half, 90 seconds left in this race to go before the clock runs out. And English, he could well make it so there's not another lap here, because that's how far ahead he is.
Yeah, I think he probably will as well, to try and help his teammate.
Dude, so Carl Benton holding on to 5th by the skin of his teeth. And so that mistake from Moynier sort of gifted the top 5 back to him, really. And potentially has done everything that Gravel Trap needed to completely make sure there's no remote chance, even if Chris English gets disconnected here, of losing the team's championship.
Well, that would be unlucky, wouldn't it?
Well, it would be. I wouldn't wish that on anyone, not even my worst enemy, which, as it happens, I actually kind of like Chris English. So, and up the inside as Valente goes wide and lets Hargitay through at Hawthorne.
Hargitay's having a good weekend.
He is, yeah.
Weekend.
Really showing what he can do. He's having a good time. Just say a time. Yeah. A period of moments all stashed together, and some racing in some of them. Here's some racing now. Hartley to the outside of Benton into Tower Bend. And off goes Valente again. And that's going to promote these two into 4th position. And through goes Louis Hartley on Carl Benton. That was a beautiful double move there.
Don't write Benton off yet.
Oh, but
He won the race at the last corner.
Could counter-attack here as English is very, very close to winning the race now. Just 19 seconds left to go. He dies at the inside, and look at that. Valente just has completely overheated the tyres. He keeps spinning the wheels constantly as they go side by side here. And I think Carl Benton will finally have to concede. And now Moynier is catching up to the both of them, but across the line. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think actually English has made it so there's another lap. He couldn't slow down enough. Or he didn't want to, however. He just wants this race to keep going. He's enjoying it so much.
He set the fastest lap.
He certainly wasn't holding back then. But here we go then. So Carl Benton will have another chance to get through. And this could potentially allow Moynier to get stuck in. As Hargitay is probably a bit too far back to make a move on Sovic then. So I think top 3 is pretty much settled. But it is who's going to finish 4th, 5th and 6th then between these 3 brilliant teams that have fought for the championship, that have put on such a show for us all season. Fringavond.
Well, Valente's off again. He must have damage.
Oh dear, so Valente must have hit the bollard or something, because it's dropping him into Davis now, isn't it? Oh, big hit, and that's Peter Schumann and Mitchell coming to grief
I think
turn
bollards
1.
Again.
Oh my goodness, Luke Mitchell has not had a fun time. As he up the inside goes Carl Benton, and is that Hargitay? No, it's Moynier.
Yeah.
So this is just Moynier having a go at Carl Benton. A last-ditch attempt to snatch 5th position as once again the 2 Scuderia Mirror cars go side by side, and Davis is through into 7th. So Valente's race has kind of fallen apart right at the end, sadly for him. But here we go then. Only not long to go now before Chris English is going to sew up race 2. I think that might be his 5th win of the season for Chris English. Here we go, and he nearly laps the Scuderia Mirror. Oh, but Hesketh just about holds on, and we'll get to do the final lap then. But a brilliant drive from Chris English. Just checked out at the start, didn't he? After Oliver Hargitay's misfortune at the chicane. And here we go. Is Lloyd Mooney going to make a late move? Benton, they both go wide. My goodness me. So Sovic 2nd, Hargitay 3rd, Hartley, the new champion 4th, ahead of these 2, Benton and Moynier. Oh, so he gave him an opportunity there. And here we go, the Scuderia Mirror cars.
Run out of fuel?
Oh dear. So did Valente, who told Luke Mitchell to put 23 laps worth of fuel in the car. Maybe he has had all sorts of issues there. Luke Mitchell finishes 9th behind the pair of them. And then is Peter Schumann rounding out the top 10 from his teammate Smagerscale. No, they're not teammates, are they? There's both orange cars. Schumann is Fringavond, Smagerscale is a Scuderia Mirror. Chicken nugget car.
Chicken nuggets.
Good finish for Smagerscale as well. I think that might be his best finish of the season. Although he's been close to the top 10 a few times, so it might be joint best. I think he's finished 11th once before somewhere. But here we go, Stiniarek and Ziola trundle home for a second.
We've got to wait for Hesketh.
Yeah, Hesketh sort of. Well, he gets some airtime, which is good. He did have he's had strong starts to races. He's not quite been able to seal the deal, but he's impressed in flashes, hasn't he, Louis Hesketh?
Yeah.
So he's got potential. The kid's got potential. What can I say? And if he's anything like his namesake, Louis Hartley, then he's got a great career ahead of him.
Right, let me break out the wheel.
I have a feeling it's hard for Louis Hesketh to finish in a different position then, so we can pretty much see the result screen now, can't we?
He's come back and won it.
Comes Louis Hesketh,
right?
Who has everyone ahead of him suddenly disqualified. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry for all the Louis Hesketh fans out there.
Oh, we're on the wrong page.
But anyway, we see more of Louis Hesketh on this one's. But there we go, confirmation then. Chris English seals the team's championship for gravel trap racing. They couldn't quite win in the drivers, but in the teams, they are triumphant, well and truly. So nothing could be able to take it away from them now. It's a big lead, over 104 points then for gravel trap racing. And Chris English has been superb pretty much all season, with Carl Benton up there as well. And even Andy Simmons, I think, getting a win at Anglesey as well, which was pretty impressive in his own right. Scott Sovic takes his best result, a joint best result yet. I think he finished 2nd in Mount Panorama as well in race 3. But this time he takes it in race 2. Oliver Hargitay takes another podium. First podium was in race 1 just a few minutes ago, wasn't it? So he takes his 2nd podium in a row then. In 3rd, in a nice recovery drive after being pushed out essentially in the first couple of corners of the race. Louis Hartley recovers to 4th despite having huge amounts of ballast and the harder tyres. Carl Benton finishes 5th, holding off Loic Moynier at the death. Chris Davis is 7th, ahead of the Alessandro Valente, whose race fell apart right at the end. Luke Mitchell finishes 9th under Burt Simulation, and Peter Schumann rounds out the top 10 for Fiona von Dwight, ahead of Smaggers Gale, of course.
Yep, sorry.
Then in 12th, it's Pascal Eggert, who triumphed in a battle with the SZ cars of Igor Studniarek and Adam Ziola. Louis Hesketh is our final finisher, just avoided being lapped. And Roy Seifert had a big crash and now has decided he's not going to bother with race 3 because dinner is calling to him. So, I mean, fair enough for Roy, because the King's Dealer haven't got a whole lot to shout about this season, but Roy has been... Shout out to him. He's put on a great show for us this season in several races.
Put in the game chat that Louis won the championship.
And Roy definitely went out with a bang with that flip, didn't he?
everyone thinks it's Hesketh.
Wow.
Right.
I mean, he did finish. Even though he did finish last, he didn't get lapped, which is in a way a victory of itself.
Should we get the wheel spin for race 3?
Let's see who's going to start on pole position then in this crazy reverse grid race.
Here we go.
And the wheel stops at
P10.
P10. There we go. So that's going to be Schünemann, isn't it?
Peter, yeah.
So there we go. Peter Schünemann has a brilliant chance then to win the final race of the season. Both championships may be sealed, but Peter Schumann hasn't won a race yet this season. Remember, he did win at Imola last season in a pretty crazy race 3. Can he replicate the feat right at the end of this season?
Yeah, last race.
Although it's been a pretty good day for Finnevon so far, with especially in the hands of Louis Hartley, sealing the championship and getting two top 4 finishes, I think. So certainly.
Let me get rid of the wheel.
We've seen the wheel now. So tire choices for race 3: Igor Studniarek, Adam Ziola, Luke Mitchell, Andy Simmons, who's not here. I've all got the softs at their disposal. Everyone else is on the mediums. So let's make sure Mitchell isn't using the softs again.
We're making very good time today. So
there we go.
Do you want the grid order?
Right, okay, go on.
So it's Peter Schunemann in first, Luke Mitchell, Alessandro Valente, Chris Davis, Loic Moynier, Kyle Benton, Louis Hartley, Oliver Hargitay, Scott Slovic, Chris English, James Smagersgale, Pascal Eggert, Igor Studniarek, Adam Ziola, Louis Hesketh.
Okay, so interesting thing is that where does Luke Mitchell start then?
P2.
Wow, well, he's got the soft tyres as well. So Peter is going to have a... Seems there's always a 100 Birch car that starts in P2 and it always makes a good getaway. So let's hope Luke Mitchell doesn't get turned around here. He says, softs for the win, mofo, is his exact words. Mofo's hashtag. He's put a hashtag in there by mistake instead of a full stop.
We've got a end of term kind of vibe going on, haven't we?
Yeah, let's hope it's not end of days into the first couple of corners.
Right, I'm going to set the ballast. I'll be 1 sec.
I'm going to miss this touring car season. It's been a real blast for you and Josh, of course, who's been just doing PSGL. He said he might come in for the final race if he remembers at the end of PSGL, but we'll see. Loic Moynier says, too much controversy playing with cars' bumpers. I gave him back. He loves to block, though, is exact words from Loic Moynier. So he's very good at blocking, to be fair. It's almost like a film director. He loves to block every scene he's in, Carl Benton. We wait now for the grid to be organised for the final race of the season. With, as we say, Peter Schunemann on pole position from Luke Mitchell. Saying in the chat very briefly while we wait for the beginning of the end, as it were.
Just the end of the world as we know it.
Well, we should also point out that we have got
at the end of the month, 25th of March, we've got EERC Endurance that starts up again at Istanbul, Turkey. By the way, if you're a team owner in GD3 and you're thinking of dropping out, please do, because we'd love to know as first reserves whether we can be in the race or not. So I'm looking at you, Lev Speed, with your 13 teams or whatever it is you've entered. That's just 2, I think.
Okay, are we ready then for the last race of the season? Nothing really left to play for, is there? So
well, there's a win up for grabs.
There's a win, and I know a few people starting at the front who are going to be desperate for that win. So I think it's racing time.
Luke Mitchell hasn't won since Bathurst, I don't think.
I think that's his only win, yeah.
Joshua Hamilton says, no, Ed, we will not be dropping out. So that Into the Point's definitely going to be taking part in Istanbul, which is great.
Oh, well, I can just remove teams.
That will, yeah. Pretty sure that's not a real drive you signed up here, Yoink.
Into the Points racing can't be real. It doesn't sound real.
Well, they've been into the points. They've even been on polling class in GD3. I don't think they've won a race in GD3 yet. What's their best result? I think they got a podium in one GD3 race last season.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I absolutely.
They've certainly got podiums in the e-racing series that I've also been commentating on, somewhat confusingly.
Yep.
Got one at I think Sebring.
Right.
Anyway, grid forming up then. So here we go for the final time, Nick. We're in for a doozy, as they say. 15 cars on the grid then, with the absent Roy Seifert, of course. So he'll get to watch with the rest of us. As Schumann leads from Mitchell, Valente, and Chris Davis.
Ready with the red flag?
Well, you haven't used it. Like I said, remarkable restraint so far, Nick. What
10
could possibly
seconds.
go wrong then?
Here we go.
Final race of the season then. Who is going to win at Croft and end on
creepy.
a high? The lights about to go out. And we're underway for the final time, and it's a penalty for Louis Haskev. It comes to a dead stop as Luke Mitchell gets a brilliant launch with the soft tyres on the inside and rockets into the lead, but it's chaos behind as Schumann, Valente, Davis and Moynier all converge into turn 1 and exit in that order. Oh, but Peter Schumann is under attack now from Alessandro Valente, who after a horrible end to race 2 wants revenge.
Check, everyone makes it through the chicane. Everyone's made it.
Oh, just about then. Smaggerscale doesn't flip this time, thankfully. But, Louis Hesketh, after jumping the start, has made a bit of a pig's ear of things, it must be said.
Mitchell locks up.
Oh, and Mitchell goes wide. Could that allow Peter Schumann through as Valente now converges on both of them? Valente ducks this way and that, but Peter Schumann defends, and all three converge through the Clark S's, and that looks like Benton attacking Moynier as well. Is he going to get through around the outside? He pushes Moynier off track almost, and Moynier has to tuck just back inside, and Benton in a bit of a Hunter Burt sandwich here, isn't he?
I've got deja vu.
Oh, dear me. But Hargitay holds off English. Moynier holds off Benton. So, that's the battle of the whole season. It's been gravel track versus HBS. And here we go. Up the inside goes Chris English on Hargitay. The two back wheels. All these guys are on the medium tyres. Then, and almost Hargitay in the back of Benton now. So, he's either being hit from behind or hitting the guy in front, isn't he? He doesn't like these gravel traps. He wants them out of the way.
Oh, no.
Oh, and he spins Benton around. Oh, my goodness me. And that looked a bit unsighted there. As there's more chaos behind. One of the SZ cars has also come to grief. And Benton comes to a complete stop as Louis Hesketh has destroyed the engine. He's in the middle of the track there. The leaders, Mitchell, will be coming up not too far a time. And he's crawling. He's right on the racing line. He needs to get back into the pits pronto. He could be disqualified here. Here we go. He's heard me now. He's getting out of the way. But let's look at the order then. Luke Mitchell continues to lead then from Alessandro Valente now. Schumann's dropped to 4th behind Chris Davis. Moynier is 5th out of English. Sovic is 7th. Hargitay is down to 8th. And Benton is down to 14th and last then. So not a great ending for Gravel Trap after being spun out there. I think there will be words from Oliver Hargitay, who up to then had driven absolutely brilliantly. So there's a little bit of a clumsy moment from the pair of them really, which is a bit unfortunate. But anyway, the race continues on. I nearly said it carries on, which is a combination of continues and carries on as Ziola is overtaken by, that looks like Eggert. So these two continuing their battle from race 2, aren't they? And there we go. Peter Schumann gets into 4th place as Moynier is now attacking him. Moynier trying to go try around the outside of Peter Schumann, who defends very aggressively and forces Moynier the long way around there. Moynier, as Mitchell sets the fastest lap, 1.6 seconds in the lead of Valenta. Yellow in the final sector now, as Hesketh is officially retired from the race, which is a sad end to his season. But we will see him again next season, I'm sure, as now Loic Moynier fancies another run at getting onto the podium past Peter Schumann. Schumann, he has got a few podiums so far this season, but as I say, yet to steal a win. And now Chris English fancies another win as well. He wants to get past the pair of them as soon as possible, as it looks like Hargitay getting stuck in with Sovic and Smagersgale. Such a big train of cars once again forming. It's basically Davis, Schumann, Moynier and English all converging together, isn't it? With Sovic now joining the party too.
Peter calls it the Schooner train, I believe.
It is a common occurrence, isn't it? But to be fair, it has taken him, like I said, to that win in Imola last season, where he even beat Mia Rose and Louis Hartley. So he's beaten 2 champions, says Peter Schumann. Nothing to scoff at. Or one of them who went on to become a champion afterwards and is technically a teammate. Yeah. But still, well, he wasn't a teammate at the time, though. So there we go, a lot of qualifiers there. As here we go, yellow in sector 2 briefly, as once again Loic Moynier tries to go around the outside of the hairpin, and that can allow Chris English to come up the inside of him. English slots back behind. A very tactical battle then this race 3 is turning into, as Mitchell extends the gap to a 2.2 seconds. And I think if Mitchell wins this, Hunter Birch could be the first team that's had, I think, we've had like, what, 4 drivers win races for us this season?
Loic, Mia, Turn.
10, yeah.
Luke, if he wins.
I don't think Remco won, sorry.
He got second, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anyone else as well. Oh, here we go. No time to wonder about that. Up the inside comes Moynier on Schumann into Tower Bend, and Schumann is going to be hung out to dry here like a saggy piece of underpants on a washing line.
The metaphor bank's running low.
Here we go. My cup runneth over in the metaphor category. Here we go. They're not a great exit. And Schumann is under attack again. And he has to cut to the inside as English has a little think. And is backed into Sovic now through Sunny in. And now into Sunny out they go. The sun, just keeps shining. As Thunderbird Simulation is now... Moynier is up to 4th. And he's going to challenge for Davis before too long, I think.
Look at this gaggle.
Yeah, Schumann has just created his own private army. Whoa! And Sovic almost gets collected there by Hargitay. That felt like a bit of a racing incident. But Hargitay once again hits the person in front of him, and now gets hit by Hartley. Oh dear. So Hargitay survived that one, mercifully. And Hartley decides to not get too aggressive, but he is weaving and ducking. Is he going to dive up the inside? Yes, he is. The world champion. The touring car champion, sorry.
Oh, English hit the bollard.
English gets on the curb and loses control, which lets Sovic through into 6th position. So now it's Sovic's turn.
Peter's being a bit of a brick wall, isn't he?
Yeah, and now English gets back through because Sovic's exit got compromised by Peter Schumann there. And now Hargitay and Hartley continuing the battle behind. Where do you look here? Up the inside goes Schumann in defense, forces Chris English the long way around. And English unable to get through. Is he going to try and stick it out? Here we go. They're going to go almost 3 wide into the Clark curve here. Oh, and that's very, very wide off track by Chris English. My goodness. So Peter is putting out all the stops here. I've never seen someone defend a 5th place harder than this.
No.
Although you've come close on a few occasions in my memory.
The Marrakesh. We don't speak about Marrakesh.
Well, that wasn't for 5th, though. That was for the podium. Here we go. And Sovic fancies another run at English here into the complex.
Here comes Hartley.
As Hartley. Oh, we're seeing all the championship contenders converge here. And, brilliant move there. Is that Eggert getting involved on... He's trying to make a double move there, and he gets pushed out.
Smagersgale as well.
Yeah, Smagersgale up past Hargitay. So great move, opportunism there from James Smagersgale. He's not had a whole lot to shout about this season. Especially, I think the best race we saw was Alton Park, where he sadly got taken out, I think, by Benton. But here we go, English up inside of Schumann.
I think he's got him, has he?
No, he's on the outside, though.
Don't want to be there.
Oh, my goodness me. And that's going to allow Sovic through, too. So Sovic slots in. And once again, they just keep taking turns, don't they? Challenging Peter Schumann. And now Hartley fancies it. It's my turn now too, fellas. This isn't a race. This is pass the parcel.
You get the feeling it's only a matter of time before something goes horrendously wrong.
Well, it's gone wrong a couple of times already. Just look at Benton, still down in 13th after being spun by a hard
True.
time.
He's not that far off all this now.
But we could see an almighty collision here if somebody,
As
especially
Smaggers
Schooneman,
Girls
gets
had
it wrong. Oh,
little...
I was just saying. Well, I was looking for James. But still, he made a great move there as Chris English, gets back in front of Sovic into Sunny In. And Hargitay fancies getting stuck in now. He's back ahead of Louis Hartley, who's been delayed there. So Schooneman actually gets a little bit of breathing space as Moynier still fighting with Davis up ahead for third. Valente is only about 3 seconds behind Mitchell, so Valente still in the hunt here as wide goes Chris English, which is going to allow Scott Sovic through once more. They go side by side. Who's going to get the best run on the straight here? English has got the inside, but it's Sovic who's got the run.
Pascal's past Louis.
Oh, Pascal's come alive here. Is he on the soft tyres, I wonder?
I think so.
Oh, and English loses it, and so does Sovic. And that's going to allow Hargitay up the inside of Scott Sovic.
Schooneman got a bit of I wonder if there was a bollard.
Everyone is getting it wrong at the first at Hawthorne, aren't they? And now Hargitay's got to defend behind because here comes Sovic counter-attacking. He's going faster. Pascal Eggert is going to try one on. Oliver Hargitay is up ahead. It's English and Schooneman still squabbling. It's Schooneman driving the widest touring car you've ever seen.
This is gripping. I can't look away.
Schooneman is box office at the moment. He's causing a log jam and a half behind, and it is fascinating to watch. And look who's getting involved now. It's one of the SZ cars. It's Studniarek. My goodness.
We've saved the best till last.
May not be a battle for the lead, but it's certainly it's a battle and a half.
This is more,
this is 8 battles in one.
Yeah.
It's a double value pack. Has the yellow in the first sector. Oh, and up the inside goes Sovic as he gets squabbles with Louis Hartley then. So Sovic hanging out around the outside into the complex. Can he pull this move off? As Schooneman ensures that no one behind can do anything as he forces Chris English to go the long way around. Will this give the opportunity? Oh, the Hargitay English puts a wheel on the grass. And here we go. On the start-finish straight again. Hargitay goes around the outside of Chris English to snatch that 6th position. And here comes Pascal Eggert too. He wants to spread the pain. Bollard has gone on a big adventure there in the gravel trap. And here we go, side by side, go English. And that is Hargitay.
Hargitay might have to back out of that one.
Oh, Hargitay's not backing out. He's in no mood to do so. My goodness, too wide on the exit through the chicane. And they're still going too wide as they go down the straight. And Pascal Eggert gets a lovely choice of double slipstream and Hartley as well. Here we go. It's like a grid of 6 cars all alongside one another. And Hargitay lets the rear step out. He's desperate to get ahead of Chris English here.
Fastest part of the track.
Again, they're going to be side by side the whole lap at this rate. And off track they all go. My goodness, but I think Chris English has just done enough to hold off, and somebody going on the grass there and almost run round Oliver Hargitay. Oh,
and through goes Hartley.
Oh, there's going to be multiple penalties after that one, I can tell you.
Not looking forward to the
like
reports.
Pascal having a go at Hargitay there a little bit too aggressively, and Hartley through on all of them somehow. They've all just hit each other, and now that's Louis Hartley up into the top 6. But look at that, they're all continuing on to just parry and counter-attack and attack one another. It's ferocious out there.
For the amount of cars here, they're doing extremely well to not...
Sovic now is going to have a go at Hargitay. It's his turn again. It's cycled back through now to Scott Sovic. But now Pascal Eggert fancies to go English. So the Finnavons working together quite well, actually.
And I just point out as well, Kyle Benton's caught up to the back of this lot.
Oh, my goodness, Benton, who got spun around, lost like over 10 seconds earlier.
Oh, as Peter's hit the ball out.
And Schooneman, it's all gone wrong for Peter as he hits the inside. And that allows Hartley through into 5th position. Moynier has not made a whole lot of impression on Davis, unfortunately.
English is through on Eggert.
Oh, here we go. I think Studniarek is actually on the soft as well, so he's not had too much luck getting through here. But English is able to hold off Pascal Eggert somehow. And the battle, it rages on now. So I guess now English is the new Peter Schooneman.
Peter's DNF'd.
Oh, that's such a shame for him there. It must have been a big hit there. Oh, That looks like Pascal going really wide, and that allows off track, and that allows Oliver Hargitay through as they're still squabbling behind Sofik, Studniarek, and Benton. Oh, Benton nearly has another moment as well as he's all over the road trying to get through the soft tire shot. Studniarek, is he going to dive up the inside? No, Studniarek covers that one off.
Yep.
Oh, but leaves just enough of a whip open, and Studniarek gets bullied out of the way there.
There was a Ford Focus and an inch.
Yeah, well, you might want to focus on the apex there because there wasn't a whole lot of room to play with. But here we go then. So the gap up front between Valente and Mitchell still 3.5 seconds. So Valente's not made much impression. Davis has also pulled a 1.5 second gap to Moynier. But Hartley is now 8 seconds down on Moynier. So I don't see the top 5 changing anytime soon. Unless English can get revenge on Louis Hartley.
Yellow flag.
Oh, well, that'd be why. James Smagasgell in more issues. He's bisected by the barrier there at the exit of Hawthorn. So Smagasgale ending in the most dramatic crash he can come up with, I think. That's creative. That's very, very creative.
Congratulations to him.
I seem to remember Valente winning a SRL race that was Tobias Blumschein's in USF 2000 League. I remember he crashed. There was a red flag, got bisected by the barrier, and then he went on to win, effectively, because I think Moynier was in that race as well, and I forget who the champion was in that season, but that was a very entertaining race.
It's all calmed down a bit for the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, a little bit. I guess because Peter's out of the picture. And not for long though. Carl Benton dives up the inside, this time of Sovik. And they all just completely missed the apex there and just cut to the inside completely. But here we go. Sovik has still got the inside. How late does he break into turn 1 on Carl Benton here? He's going to feel a little bit hard done by. No, he can't quite get on song into turn 1. So the order remains the same then. It's Mitchell, Valente, Davis, Moynier, Hartley, English, Hargitay, Eggett, Benton, and Sovik. We look on stream at the moment. Oh, look at Studniarek.
Should we look at Luke Mitchell?
Yeah, let's have a look at the race leader in the number 82. The 82 that's, I don't think, won a race this season, no matter who's been driving it. But best result of second from race 3 last time out. And it looks like Mitchell, with just 1:49 left to go, is going to get 2 laps more.
It's going to be quite close.
Yeah, so he's just got the hope as there's Valente just coming into shot there. And Valente's cut about half a second out of the lead. So Luke Mitchell on the soft. He's got the distinct tyre advantage, but he's not really given too many opportunities. But Valente's really pushing. He wants to end the season on a high. Second would be his best result of the season, but he wants to win too. Here comes Hargitay, desperate to get back into the top 6, to get back on song with Chris English. And you got to say, this has been probably one of the best performances these 3 races that we've seen from Oliver Hargitay. In terms of, he's definitely had a big step up from Autopolis, which already was pretty impressive. Remember qualifying second, finishing in the top 4 a couple of times.
I'm just incredibly impressed that with all that battling, it didn't end much worse than it did.
Yeah, there might be a penalty. Carl Benton might be pushing for Hargitay to get a penalty, but
yeah.
I'll be, well, I guess it doesn't really matter at the end of the season with not a whole lot to fight for, but maybe for pride I might protest. Protest the protest.
Well, we'll see.
I know might be coming.
Here we go. 3rd place.
Here we go then. So Moynier's finally caught up to Chris Davis with 36 seconds left in the race. But Davis will be desperate to hold on to a podium. He's not raced for a while, so therefore he hasn't had a podium in a while. But Moynier could make it 200 Birch cars on the podium. Only the third time this season, sorry. Oh, look how late they're all braking into Sunny Ian, and that could be it then. 15 seconds to go. Where is Luke Mitchell? Can he force another lap here to help his teammate?
Yeah, it's going to be an extra one.
Here we go then. So Luke Mitchell enters the final lap of the race then.
Last lap of the season.
Last lap of the season, and what a fabulous season it's been. We've had frills, we've had spills, we've had so many different winners over the course of the season from, I think, 5 or 6 different teams in total. But, here we go. Studniarek has a last-ditch attempt to go around the outside of Sovik at the complex, and Sovik sees that one coming from a mile off, really.
Oh, he's still going for it.
Oh, and he tries to nudge him around.
Oh, and then loses the rear himself.
Yeah, I think he's burnt up those softs, Studniarek.
Overheated them, definitely.
Overheated, certainly, because there's no tyre wear, of course. Hopefully that changes next season. I can't wait to see how things play out with all the different rule sets put back in. And here we go. Oh, off track goes Moynier to try and challenge Davies out of the chicane. So that's going to hurt his momentum just a little bit. But there will be one final opportunity, I think, potentially into the hairpin. So he's setting himself up for that, isn't he? But Mitchell up ahead. Him and Valente, they've had a good battle, but Valente's not really had a chance to attack at any point. Mitchell has more than had it covered. And he's going to take he's going to take a second win of the season, I think. I can't remember where he definitely won earlier.
It was Bathurst.
It was Bathurst, yes. So he's one of the few people to win in 2 different cars this season, I believe. But here we go. Over the line he comes. Mitchell, victorious in the final race of the season here at Croft from Alessandro Valente. But here comes the battle for third between Moynier. And he's going to be a little bit too far
Benton's
back on
past
Davis.
Eggert.
Oh,
Sorry.
here we go. So Benton gains a place
Where are
on the
we?
final
There we go.
lap of the season. But here we go. David. Oh, drifting in goes Moynier. That was Autopolis Part 2 there. He was doing that in the rain, wasn't he? But Davis is going to take third to end the season on a high. Hartley will take 5th behind Moynier. Then it will be Chris English. Then Hargitay. Then this man, Carl Benton, who recovers to 8th after a great recovery drive there. To beat Pascal Eggert on the very final lap of the race. Sovic will finish 10th, Studniarek 11th, and he will be the final finisher. So all within about 21 seconds there. So a great ending to the season, and of course it ends with Hunter Birch driver winning. So I'm not too upset about that at all. Wow. So let's have a look then at the final results. Luke Mitchell victorious from Alessandro Valente. So they both end with their best results of the... All the top 3 get their best results of the season in the final race. Luc Moynier just denied a final podium. He takes 4th ahead of Louis Hartley. And Moynier, who's going to finish, I think, in the top 4 or 5 in the championship. I think he might be ahead of Roy Seifert now. So despite only doing about half the season, Moynier scores big. And you got to think, if he'd done the whole season, he could have been... fighting for the Drivers' Championship, really, because he's been really on it the whole season. Hartley, the champion, ends on a high in 5th, so more top 5 consistency from Louis Hartley, and that's why he walks away with the crown, ahead of Chris English, who loses on the Drivers' Championship, but does seal the gravel trap for the Teams' Championship to beat Hunter Birch Simulation and succeed them as EERC British Touring Car champions. Oliver Hargitay, he finishes down in 7th after an up-and-down race, but it was a beautiful battle, wasn't it, Nick? Behind Peter Schumann for 5th, basically onwards. Then Carl Benton recovers to 8th, Pascal Eggert 9th, Scott Sovic rounds out the top 10 as the Independence champion. Then just one more finisher in the form of Igor Studniarek, who couldn't really get the best out of those soft tyres, but certainly put on a few smoke shows at the rear of his car, with the rears looking absolutely cooked. Then the non-finishers, Smegascale, Peter Schunemann, who put on such a great show. Him and Smegascale, to be fair. Adam Ziola and Louis Hesketh. By the way, Luke Mitchell set the 3rd fastest lap of the event. By the way, 123.6 in that final race there.
Do the interviews. There's only one image I can put up on the screen, which I think is, well, it's my favourite image from the season anyway.
Okay.
Let me find that if you want to drag Louis in.
Sure thing. Right, so we could talk to Vic as well, but I think Louis is the only one who really wants to talk to us. So we are now joined then by the new EERC British Touring Car Champion of Season 2, and that is, who else could it be but Mr. Louis Hartley from Fringavon Motorsport Green. So Louis, congratulations on winning the Drivers' Championship. So 3 difficult races, but you survived in all of them to finish in the top 5. So you have to say, they didn't make it easy for you, and I think Chris English has just joined us as well. So you ended up sealing it in race 1. It was very, very tight. I think Sovic nearly took it away from you as well, but you just about got the points you needed on Chris to make sure you could seal it up at the earliest opportunity, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, thanks for that. I found it really tricky to pass around here, but it's a good fun track to sort of hot lap. I did quite enjoy it. It's been a good season. I've liked racing with the gravel trap guys and your guys in the Infinities the whole time. I just like these cars. They're good fun to drive.
Yeah, certainly that race 3 was a very high note to end on. You were right in the thick of that. You and Chris actually were right in the thick of that crazy battle behind Peter Schienemann trying to get into 5th place, and I guess you triumphed in it. So well done, Louis.
Yeah, that was some fight. I'm surprised it lasted so long without anyone getting killed.
Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you,
Yeah, I
Chris.
can hear it.
Race 3 was nuts. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that pack just went on forever, and everyone was actually being pretty clean in it as well, I found.
Peter drove an amazing defensive race. Like, I couldn't find a way around him. And
Yeah,
then
it's
I
just
had
a
everyone else behind me.
shame that Peter hit the chicane right at the end to end the battle there, because I think he could have kept it going the whole race if
I
possible.
think he could have done. Yeah.
Yeah, making great use of those softs. I think he was on softs, wasn't he? Am I right on thinking that, Nick?
I think he was.
No, he used them in race 2. That was on the mediums.
Oh,
I
okay.
apologise.
Oh, wow.
I think it was
Yeah.
only Stydniarek and Mitchell that were on the softs in the final race.
Oh,
Should we
that's
get,
odd.
let's
There's usually
let's
that many.
get Kyle in as well if he's around.
He is? I can get him that.
He's on his way.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there he is.
All right, so anyway, so Louis, you and Chris, and really Gravel Trap as a whole, in terms of the Drivers' Championship, had a great
Not
battle.
ready. Kyle's
No, too early. So, Louis, do you want to? I know you were praising everyone before we sort of went, wow, wasn't that a great race 3 battle, as we always seem to in this championship. But you and Chris, it wasn't just a championship was decided in the points. You two really had to fight each other on track, and more often in race 2, it always seemed to be Chris that would somehow win out of nowhere. But thankfully for you, Louis, in races 1 and 3, you generally had the advantage, and often when you didn't have the best tires as well. So you have to say that was a championship that you really had to fight for all the way. And when Mia Rose dropped out, you beat Mia Rose in Bathurst Fair Square, I think it's fair to say. So when she dropped out, you sort of became the favourite, and you kept that status all the way through for like the last couple of months and the past 8 or 9 races or so.
I've just been consistent as all. I still didn't get that many wins across the season, so it's just trying to stay out of trouble, get consistent podiums, and that kept me up there. Because I probably could have went some more big dive bombs, but it's not really worth it. You'll lose a load of points doing that. So a lot of it was just staying out of trouble. Mia dropping out definitely helped a lot, but it would have been good fun to... yeah. To be honest, I think Mia would have been very hard to catch if she hadn't. But it would have been good fun to race her, but the gravel trap cars were always good fun to race and always give me a run for my money. You guys were pretty quick.
Oh, thank you. No matter who I tended to put good guys in the car and good girls as well in the case of Mia. But yeah, anyway, I have to say, you've won. A final question for you, Louis. So you've won one championship in the form of touring cars. In a couple of weeks' time, we've got the endurance series that starts up again, and Finnevond are looking to. Are you driving for Finnevond in that as well in LMP2, if I remember correctly?
No, I'm one of the hypercars for them.
Ah, okay, the hypercar. So I'm thinking. Do you think winning hypercar is realistic as well? I guess you're up against Mia again. So.
Oh, we can see. There's a good few names I don't recognise on the list there, so we'll have to wait until after the first race or two to see who's quick and who's not. So it's pointless saying anything just now, but we should at least be able to make it to the end of the races. That's first priority.
I've just seen the
endurance.
picture that's on stream at the moment, which looks to be of a Finnevond car.
No,
turning,
that's LNR back from Thruxton.
Oh, Logistical Nightmare. Remember them?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, poor. Is that Jack Vermeulen or is
I
that?
can't remember. But
It's one of the. Oh no, it's definitely.
should we get Kyle and Scott in there waiting? So patient.
Sure thing. We should turn our attention to the new teams champions, but thank you very much. We should turn our attention then to the teams championship and gravel trap racing. Who well done, guys. I'm trying to be as gracious as possible.
I sound like through gritted teeth.
Yes, I'm so happy for you. But anyway, Chris, obviously disappointment in the Drivers' Championship to miss out to Louis Hartley, but more than made up for, I think, in the Teams Championship with you, Kyle, and Andy. Let's not forget Andy, who's not here, who'll be very happy, I'm sure, watching at home, that Gravel Trap did the deal. Who Did the deal. That's a weird way of putting it. They won the championship. It's a big achievement. And I have to say congratulations, and you guys must be delighted with that.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. When I threw away the race win at what was that track with the long straight with a kink for turn 1, hairpin for turn 2?
It was Anglesey, wasn't it?
Anglesey, yeah, I hated that track. But I locked up in the lead. It was like, right, drivers' championship's over because I threw 2 race wins away this season because of the brakes, because I just couldn't get used to the brakes on default.
I think you won the most races though out of any. I think Loic might be very close though, because Loic I'm pretty sure won 4, and Mir won 4, and I think you won 5 or 6 in total.
Yeah,
most of them race 2s.
I always went soft in race 2 more often than not.
That explains it.
There's a reason for that, because historically, when I've run other touring car series in the past, and we do the compound choice, not many people choose race 2 unless they're forced to. So I knew on race 2 I'd be one of the few on softs, and that's when I could capitalise. So there's a little tactic behind that. But
it's worked pretty well for you.
Yeah, it has. Well hacked by the team. So I'd say after Anglesey and binning it from a race lead, the team's championship was the focus. We pretty much switched the team's championship from there. And obviously when the cars were equalled out as well, I think we lost a lot when the engine powers were weird.
But at least car wasn't blowing up halfway down the straight though.
Yeah. It's been much closer since then. So I'm hoping, Nick, fingers crossed, that we have open setups next time round. And then I can get the car just to my liking.
Well, in about 15 minutes, there's going to be a questionnaire going out where you can say what you want to say and suggest what you want to suggest. But it's definitely one of the options for next season.
Good. But yeah, I've been looking at my Twitch chat since the last race, and it looks like they enjoyed the last race as well.
I watched that back.
Awesome. It's almost like they prefer your commentary to mine.
It was brutal.
Your live commentary.
But race 2 tonight, actually, on the soft tyre, is the best that car's felt all season.
Wow. Okay.
It was, I could do anything I want with it. Now, I've driven Croft and I've 2 every year, at least twice a year for 10 years, I think, since it came out. So I know Croft very well, which does help. I know where every bump is on that track, but I just had confidence in that car that I've not had all season. The brakes were still weird, though. I still had issues with the brakes, but that's just been my story of the whole season.
I must say as well, Kyle, great comeback in that third race.
Yeah, we should move on. Thank you very much, Chris, and well done on your runners-up and your leading the charge to the team's championship. I think you got to say it's a worthy championship one, and I think if there was going to be a team that beat us, I think it's only fitting that it should be you guys who did all that work on the Subaru last season that we used so much. But anyway, thank you, Chris. So moving on to Kyle then. I think the defensive masterclass, but also the tactical masterclass, Carl, because I remember race 1, you shadowed Oliver, my driver, the whole way through, and then you launched up the inside at the final corner, and gutting from my point of view, but you have to say, top marks. That was an absolutely well executed race victory, and you weren't too bad in races 2 and 3 either with those insane recovery drives.
Cheers. Yeah, race 1, I kind of dress rehearsed it a couple of laps before I did it, and he got a better exit at the hairpin, and I thought he'd be wise to that again, and then he left a door wide enough for a Ford Focus, and that was just enough. And yeah, as soon as I saw those brake lights come on and there was a gap there, I knew it was mine that time. But yeah,
must have been shouting as that happened, because it's not every day you win a race at the final corner.
No, it's not. The adrenaline was pumping. I was shaking when I crossed the line because I just knew I pulled off a worldie. I probably couldn't do that again. But yeah, I'll take it. I think that's my second win of the year, but I'll take it. They're hard to get a win in this championship, so I'll take it.
And Kyle, it must be said, you've been a very magnanimous driver, because often to support Chris's bid, you've let him through in quite a few races, including the one where you let Loic through. So thank you for that as well at Alton Park. But it really feels like you've been a team player, and had a couple of things played out slightly differently, you could well have been fighting for the Drivers' Championship as well.
The Drivers was never for me because I didn't start the season. I missed Thruxton, so when I joined Nunstrop, and I think that's how you say
Nutstop,
it.
yeah.
Nutstop, sorry. I was always in for the team, and I was always backing Chris all the way through. and it's just been consistency that we've found. I found myself in. Where did I finish in the MP3? I think it's just been consistent, being up at the top end. You're just scoring those points week in, week out, and like you say, it could have been different if I started the season, but I was behind Chris all the way.
But also, it must be said, the dream team at Gravel Trap, you, Andy, and of course Chris, consistent pretty much the whole season, apart from obviously a couple of races where Andy couldn't make it. But I'm sure he's very, very delighted and a very worthy team's championship member. But us, we've changed drivers all the time, so I've looked somewhat enviously at the lineup at Gravel Trap, it must be said. But I can't fault not just your attendance, but also your performance when you've attended. The only thing that I can think of that you did wrong the whole season was Alton Park, where you fit the wrong tyres on the car before the start of race 1 and had to sort of quietly come into the pits at the end after putting on a great show for us on stream. So I have to say, overall, thanks.
That wasn't me. That was my mechanics.
Of course, yeah. Well, the one mistake the Gravel Trap mechanics made all season there. But anyway, congrats, Kyle, on the team championship. Well deserved. And, congrats on running race 1 as well. So 2 wins for Gravel Trap.
Just before I disappear, I want to say congrats to Louis. It's been an awesome season. It's been good, battling with you. And everyone in this championship, to be fair, it's been really good. I've enjoyed it. So look forward to the next one. So thanks to all.
Us too, Kyle. We look forward to seeing you in action again. And one final champion we've got to talk to is our Independence champion, who's been waiting very, very patiently, and that is Scott Sobick. So, Scott, are you there?
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, we didn't congratulate you last time because sadly you got disconnected, I think, just before race 2 at Autopolis, which was a big shame for you, I know. But more than made up for here with some fabulous performances in pretty much all 3 races. You were in the thick of things. Am I remembering correctly that did you get on the podium in any of them? I remember you qualified really high, didn't you? In the top 4 or so. Because there's so much to keep track of, I can't remember what happened to you in any of the races, Scott, but I definitely remember you were in a lot of battles. I remember it was entertaining. You, Louis, Chris, Kyle, and Oliver, just in a crazy scrap in race 3. So the Independence title was, obviously, there wasn't a whole lot of competition, I think it must be said, was wrapped up. But you performed, when you've shown up, you performed absolutely superbly. So I think, full marks to you. You've been absolutely superb, and I'd be amazed if you don't get scooped up by one of the bigger teams.
Honestly, well, first of all, to answer your question, I did get on the podium in race 2.
That was it, yes.
But other than that, yeah, I'm
second place, wasn't it?
Honestly, a bit disappointed that I wasn't able to use the softs in race 1 to my advantage there. That was just, the car wasn't where I wanted it to be at all. So it was only like halfway through that race that I actually managed to get it where I wanted to be somewhat. So it was I think this event's just been like all the other ones where it's just been wasted potentially anyway from my side, where I feel like I've had the potential to win several races this season, especially at Bathurst. But I joined the race round 3 at Bathurst after, because honestly I was watching Knudstorp, and that was what made me interested in joining. So.
Well, I'm glad we sold it to you.
Yeah, no, it was a bit wild there, but But yeah, as the season went, I mean, I felt like I had a lot of innate pace just from having years and years of experience in touring cars. But I'm honestly a bit disappointed that I couldn't get that car to win. Honestly, especially considering that that livery is actually the one that Ballas used in the VCO Summer Cup, I think. So it's a bit of a shame that I couldn't really do much with that. But as I said, it's I don't know. Maybe I'll see if there's a next season for me, but I have to see how that matches up with the schedule, because as an organisation we are doing quite a few things, or Ballas, so it's going to be hard for me to really see if I can squeeze in the series. But I mean, it's been enjoyable anyway. So it's and I've had a lot of good. This has definitely given me my touring car fix, which is really nice.
Yeah, well, we've definitely enjoyed having you, Scott, because every time you're on the grid, it's always dynamite to watch. And yeah, I know you didn't win any of the races, but it wasn't for want of trying. And certainly, if one or two things, if I maybe hadn't fielded such a good lineup and maybe hadn't got 10 in for Angozi, you probably would have had the race won there because that was another great. Yeah, so I think it's my fault really that you didn't win this year, but technically. But anyway, another thing. That's two Scottish Drivers' Championship, you and Lee. So you got to feel from that standpoint that it's been obviously. I know you would have loved to have won it yourself, but considering you didn't get to all the races, you've got to be happy to see a fellow Scotsman top the table, or both tables, rather.
I mean, yeah, I suppose. I mean, I can't really say I'm too Scottish considering my name and all, but it's. But yeah,
hey,
no, it's congrats to Louis first of all because he's done a fantastic job this season in this pace. Considering he was able to match Mia's pace early on in the season with a car that is balanced, but still to be. Not that the Infinity isn't balanced, but just to be able to keep up with Mia just speaks to how quick he was this season as well. Congrats to him. He's earned that title for sure.
Absolutely, I think I agree with you 100% there, Scott. But anyway, so congratulations on. I know maybe it's not the biggest achievement in the world, but I know you'll go on to do even better things if you return in the future to race in EERC. So congrats on the Independence Championship and on those well-earned podiums you've had this season. And I look forward to commentating on your race in the future, Scott.
Thank you very much.
Right, so I think that's pretty much everything, Nick. I feel absolutely exhausted.
I've just been working out how many
long
winners
season
we've had this season, and I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 out of 27 races.
It was good that we got all of our champions that showed up there. I don't think any of my guys want to be interviewed. Apart, maybe Luke might have given a decent interview, but the others are like, "Nah, we didn't win any of the races, so we don't want to talk." But
you did win one of the races.
Well, Luke did, but I don't think he won. For some reason, he's busy, I guess. So we'll just have to close up then. Without giving my own team self promotion, but anyway, so. I guess 9 rounds we got to do in the end because unfortunately Mont Tremblant had to be cancelled. But you have to say, tremendous action. Like you say, tremendous variety of winners and completely different winners to the first season as well. And it sets us up very, very nicely for season 3 whenever that happens, as well as EERC Endurance coming back on the 25th of March for the 6 hours of Istanbul. Yep. So we're on the reserve list for that. We're hoping to take part in GD3, but we'll have to see how that. I'll be commentating no matter what, and I know you'll be driving, Nick, so everyone will be cheering you on, no doubt, and not me, my team. But you, like I said earlier, you guys are kind of the favourites as the highest returning team from last season in GD3. But there are 3 other classes to keep track of, aren't there?
There are, but hey, we're done.
Yep, we're done. Okay.
We're done.
So, with that said, congratulations to Louis Hartley, our new drivers' champion for Finna Bond. Our team's champions, Gravel Trap, in the form of Chris English, Carl Benton, and Andy Simmons. And I'm so glad that Hunter Birch didn't win because I would have had to list all the drivers there in a way.
I would have been here till tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true. And of course, our Independence champion in the form of Scott Servick. So, from Bala's Esport, of course. So, from me, from Nick Homewood, from all the teams and drivers here at EERC British Touring Cars, that's your lot. That's the season over. We'll be seeing you next time, whenever that is. We'll keep you up to speed. But for now, goodbye from Croft, and congratulations to our new world champions.